On this episode, I am joined by Jay. Some of you guys may be familiar with him from his time over at Q, where he was making some cool content, cool marketing, and all kinds of cool stuff that you were seeing from those dudes, from that company up over yonder. He's now a freelance free man doing his own thing and chasing that dream. All right, so give this episode a listen. Check him out on Instagram at datboyjp, at DATBOYJAYP, and maybe you want some of his services. But anyways, though, yeah. So, dude, what's up, man? What's up, bro? Do you go by Jay, or you go by Justin?
Yeah.
Jay?
Yeah, old people call me Jason, but yeah, I go by Jay.
Oh, you just had. Oh, damn, how many names you bro? How many names you got, bro?
A couple.
Couple.
It depends on who I'm talking to, I guess.
Damn.
Yeah.
Are you? Am I in the J category?
Yeah, you can be a Jay
Oh,
for sure.
hell yeah. That's the cool
I don't
number,
know. How
right?
old are you? Are you old enough for a Jason? I don't know.
How old do you think I am?
Well, originally I thought like 61, but I think
What the fuck?
no, I don't know. What are you, like 30? I don't know.
Old enough.
Yeah, old enough. That's all that
Yeah.
matters.
Yeah. Funny enough, I tell people I'm 29.
Yeah.
But I'm actually.
Oh, no worries, dude. I won't tell anyone.
Yeah, thanks, dude.
Yeah, no worries.
I'm gonna blur that out too.
Yeah,
just for the sake of
that'd be tight.
it. But yeah, man. So, dude, head cold, shit like that. Did you get that from your trip recently?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a head cold, but it could be allergies, which
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed to say because I think allergies are kind of the most like bitch thing in the world.
Nah, bro.
Being allergic to flowers or something. But yeah, I don't know. I never really had crazy allergies growing up, and then I woke up yesterday feeling
Like shit.
kind of shitty.
Yeah, dude, that sucks. So, dude, Jay, funny enough, just a little bit of backstory.
Yeah.
It was weird, man, because I've been hearing about you, I would say for quite some time, but I didn't know what your handle or your name was like officially, and I didn't want to be that guy
Yeah,
who like, oh, who is that again? Like, but I knew of you, and I know about you, and I heard about all your work before, and we don't even have to disclose all that stuff, but we can. Yeah, so
Yeah, I mean, we can get into it.
yeah, we'll touch base on that for like a little bit and a few, and then
Yeah.
we'll move forward. But yeah, dude, it was wild. And then Austin and Miles both chatted about you, and then Arcane Concerted had just mentioned you as well recently. And I was oh yeah, I just started following that guy. He's been like, I feel bad because I kept on telling him it would be ready in like such and such time, and then it still is.
Yeah.
The previous podcast with Austin and Miles is still not ready. But yeah, so it was funny, but it was kind of cool getting to kind of connect. It was kind of, dude, it's kind of badass. I mean, just knowing how much work and how much cool stuff you've been a part of and projects wise, just to jerk you off a little bit. But yeah, dude, so that's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. I'd obviously seen, a bunch of dudes, not even just dudes, but like Taylor from Tactical Distributors and all that. So like,
Yeah.
I think on here she came for Sasshole Jules or whatever, but
Yeah.
I'd seen a bunch of like the homies on, and I didn't know you or whatever, and then Miles and Austin were like, hey, we said your name during the podcast, and I was like, all right, cool, whatever. Like, but yeah, it kind of happened fast, and it was cool. And then you said other people had said my name, so I was like, well, fucking, let's just do this. I know you don't put podcasts on anymore, but let's do this.
So this will be, I think, number 4. That will be like basically on the realm. But what I'm planning on doing is just like committing like 3 days of just podcast editing and stuff like that. And then I have another one that's planned, and I just need to knock it out. So that'll be like the next thing. But yeah, dude, it's wild too because I love doing podcasts. Especially with,
me
like,
too.
I just love chatting with dudes and then like especially like-minded guys and like-minded guys.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know, you get to see kind of flow and energy, and then also get to know dudes that a little personality, especially when they have like good, like relative, humor, sense of humor, blah 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 banter. It's always enjoyable. But anyways, yeah, so we won't bullshit about that too much longer. But yeah, man. So so everyone knows, because I still haven't revealed your kind of like your background, your information. So like what all do you do? What is your career, dude? What you be fucking with?
So I'm actually I'm in a transitional kind of period right now.
Mm-hmm.
Career wise, not any other aspect of my life. But I've been in the gun industry for the better part of a decade. I worked at SIG for 4 years. I was a quality inspector over there. And then in 2019, I made the jump over to Q. Very polarizing company for a bunch of different reasons, but I made the jump there, and I was doing quality stuff for a bit, and then I switched over to marketing and doing their partnership marketing, social media, photography.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on their podcast as well. So it's kind of a funny thing, just because, I meet even at SHOT, I met a bunch of people at SHOT Show, and I think that the image that I've kind of that's been presented while I was at Q is kind of just like a little shithead, just whatever, Mr.
Mm-hmm.
Aloof, I guess. But people tend to forget that I'm technically savvy as well. So I do understand guns, despite what people may think, I guess.
See, I didn't know that. I didn't know that whatsoever. I honestly had assumed that you had basically been in a social media or a marketing aspect all of your career. So that's actually really cool, man. That's really similar to kind of like what Miles had done. But I mean, I guess he wasn't in a QC, but he was kind of hired for one role and then kind of integrated himself more into the marketing aspect. So that's cool.
Yeah. And it's definitely, I owe it 100%. Like basically all of the opportunities I've kind of been able to be a part of, and the cool projects and all that stuff, realistically, I owe it to Kevin Brittingham. That dude is pretty polarizing on the internet, and a lot of the things that people have to say about him are bullshit. They don't really know what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
He can definitely be, self-described, he can definitely be an asshole, but he's not a liar. And I think that because of the things that he says here and there, or whatever, I think a lot of people are, they tend to, it's super easy to forget that all of the things that Kevin's been a part of over the last 30 years. Like the American Silencer Association,
Mm-hmm.
like Kevin started that. 300 Blackout, that's Kevin and Ethan. Like any cool gun that you like from the GWAT, if there's a can on it, it was probably Kevin and Ethan. Like the biggest names in the industry, whether it's Trey Knight or Chris Barrett or Lorena Noveski, like they're all friends with Kevin. So you see a lot of bullshit on the internet. Some of it deserved. Like Kevin, he won't hold back. He'll call you a bitch if you're a bitch or whatever. But I definitely, he saw something in me and said, "Hey, you shouldn't be out back measuring parts. You should be up front working with us. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can talk to people, you can do whatever." So he kind of gave me that opportunity, and I just kind of ran with it. So it was cool. It's something that I've wanted to do for a long time. And he kind of just gave me that opportunity.
Dude, that's super rad. So I'll be, completely honest, like the same thing from the outside looking in. You see kind of things thrown and said on the wall, especially against Kevin. And the number one thing I will always say, whether I agree or disagree with things he's done or said, is he's popularized suppressor use, the use of, just general suppressors, and has been a pinnacle part of, just normalizing suppressors in general, and then adding a fun twist to them. And that's kind of what I've always said about Noveski, as well as Corey, over with Superior Defense.
Yeah.
Was like they've just, added this fun twist to everything, where everything doesn't have to be so fucking serious all the time. So
absolutely,
I've always just had a lot of respect for that, whether I've agreed with or disagreed with, stuff that he stated or said or responded to. But yeah, I think that's the cool thing too, is someone not being able to tilt themselves and then just say exactly what they think or how they respond. Whether it's a rant, or maybe you've had a little too much and you go on and you kind of do some responding. But at the same time, to me, that's kind of like, well, that's like a more of a normal person. You're not always putting on a fucking PR show when you're dealing with customers and stuff like that. So it kind of makes it kind of more authentic, because and I have no disbelief that whatever Kevin puts out or says or responds and how he acts is a show. Because I think, yeah, that's 100% his personality. He just
Yeah,
does exactly what he's
yeah.
thinking. So
He doesn't give a fuck. He's not here. I mean, he'll tell you he's not here to make friends. Like
yeah.
he didn't. He has friends, but like that wasn't his goal.
Hmm.
But I think the common denominator between just the three people you mentioned, whether it be Kevin, Lorena, and Corey, all three of them have other things that they're into and
Yeah.
like super into. Lorena's an amazing artist.
She is.
I don't think a lot of people have seen her art, but like, I mean, even in the podcast room that we shoot for Q, like, we have a bunch of Lorena's paintings, and they're insane. She's an insane artist. Kevin skates. His son skates really well. Kevin's super into that. And then obviously Corey's into everything under the sun, especially if it's expensive. He's into it.
Yeah, no shit, dude. I have found like over the years that, and I'm not sure how when or so I'm trying to think how I should phrase this. So totally agree. I end up finding myself in various hobbies, and then I'm one of those people where like if I want to commit to it, I don't want to half-ass it. I just ball out on it because I'm like, okay,
absolutely.
If I'm going to invest my time and energy, I don't want to half-ass and be like, damn, I should have just bought this instead. Now I've wasted money, or now I have to resell this other piece of shit to get the thing that I really should have gotten in the first place that has a better resale value. So I always find myself in those categories. Like right now, I'm like in this weird mode of I want a fucking dirt bike. I've always kind of wanted a dirt bike. And like I have some homies up in North, shout out to Gray Farm. He's been telling me about coming up there and riding, and so I'm like, damn, I want a fucking dirt bike. So I have, and then some friends in the Discord, my personal Discord, been helping me like go through that route. But yeah, so I feel that. Yeah, it sucks.
No, I'm the same way. Like anything, it's funny. I was talking to a dude yesterday. His Instagram is Sunny Days Visual or Sunny Days Visual. I'm butchering it for sure. But he's a cool guy. He's in the special operations community and super cool photographer. And we were just kind of talking about yesterday. We were talking about photography, but I'm like you. Like if I get into something, I go all the way in. And for me, it's like a justification of like, hey, I just bought this thing. I better figure out how to use it.
Yeah.
Like, which I think is important. I think a lot of people will kind of side skirt and they'll, like you said, they'll get something that's not necessarily what they want, but it's like, oh, well, it's cheaper. I'm saving money. But are you saving money at the same time? Because you're just going to get it and you're going to reach its limits. And then you're going to decide like, oh, well, I wish I had this or I wish I had that. So get what you want and then just go do it, I guess.
Yeah, totally agree. And that's like the other thing too, is like I have, I'm terrible. Well, I'm not so terrible, but like I just will always just get super bent out of shape if I end up settling for something I didn't want. Like that happens all the time.
Yeah.
People do it all the time. Oh, they'll make some excuse or some whiny thing about it. And it's like, okay, well then if you need to save your money a little bit more to get what you want, or maybe you need to offload some stuff that you don't use or don't care about anymore to fund whatever you're doing, but don't settle for something just because, well, I could, I don't know, whatever roadblock there is. I think people do that a lot with, it doesn't have to be hobby wise either. It can be career wise. So.
Right, absolutely.
That's weird. It's weird when people do that.
And go ahead, yeah.
No, that's it, dude. Yeah, I'm good.
No, I mean, I agree. And like I said earlier, like I'm in kind of a transitionary period. And I didn't necessarily feel that way about what I was doing at Q. Q, like, if anything, Q kind of inspired me. All the things that I like kind of wanted to do, and through Q, meeting all these other dudes that, like, I'm fortunate enough to be able to say, like, are my friends. But, like, whether it's Warm Fuzzy or Doghead Collective or Autoseer, Miles, Austin, all these dudes, all it's done is kind of inspire me to look at these dudes who were in the same position I was in, where it's like, oh, there's these things that I want to do, so I'm just going to go do them.
Yeah. And
it's funny because we just talked about, like, when we get into something new, we go all the way in and whatever. And I realized that I wasn't doing that. And Q is always going to be a gun company. Like, they get into other stuff for sure. But again, we just talked about it. Like, I have interests outside of guns as well. And so I decided, like, I'm 27. I don't have a wife or kids or own a home or anything. So I was like, if I'm going to have to grind it out, now is going to be the time to do it. So I talked to Kevin and was like, hey, look, this is where I'm at. Like, I'm beyond thankful for everything that Q's given me and the opportunities and the cool projects, just everything I've done. But there's things that I want to do beyond, not even beyond, but just like that aren't Q. There's things that I want to go do. And I feel like now is the time to do it. And I was shocked at how supportive Kevin was of it. Like he couldn't have been more supportive, which meant a lot. So
Yeah.
so now I'm kind of I mean, right now it's the end of May, so I have a week left at Q, and then I'm kind of just gonna try to make it on my own, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, dude, so like that was going to be my next question was like, you know, how did he take that, especially with someone being as polarizing and outspoken, like, you know, but that is that's super, super, super admirable. And I've actually chatted with people recently that have been like in offerings or job positions, and it doesn't seem like they're as supportive of like their, like, you know, outside market and what's available post whatever, you know. And then that, I understand that, because some companies, they don't want to have to continuously replace people or plug and play people. But I also feel like you should also always be supportive of people who want to take themselves further. And if you're that stepping block for someone to expand their like, you know, capabilities, you should always do that. You should always support that. So that's really awesome. Like I just can't stand gatekeeping mentalities, and it doesn't mean necessarily in businesses, but really anybody, you know. So I don't know. It's cool.
I think. Oh, I'm sorry. I was
no. You're good.
That I think that it would be different if I told him like, hey, you know, I'm going to go back to SIG, and I'm going to take a bunch of blueprints from here and bring them to SIG, and,
totally different,
or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to do anything in direct competition to Q. Like, to be honest, like. I'm beginning to get so burnt out on the quote unquote community in general. Like I go through periods of being super into guns and then not giving a shit, and then being back into guns and not giving a shit. And I'm definitely on a not really giving a shit kick right now. I think most of the gun owners that I see publicly are super lame, and I don't want to be a part of anything that they're doing. I also just like, because I mean, for the last year plus, I've been running Q's social media, and I see this like blind following of people that you don't know. Like, dudes will follow whatever company. They've never met anyone there. They couldn't name anyone who works there. They just saw them post an ad on Instagram one time or whatever, and they will die on that hill. They will do anything for that company. And that's just the weirdest thing to me.
Don't say that out loud, bro. I got people who listen to this shit. I'm kidding.
Yeah. No, but...
no, I understand totally, though, yeah.
I feel like this community, and I fucking hate that everyone says community, because, like, for a community, this is the least, like, tight community ever that I see. Like, I don't know. It's everyone just, like... Because, manufacturer-wise, at the end of the day, everyone's making something real similar. Mm-hmm. They're basically making the same thing, at least in the AR world.
Sure.
We're all making the same shit. Someone's using different materials, whatever. But here's the spec that we're all making our shit to. It's the same shit, but everyone will convince you, oh, no, this one's better. That one sucks. This one, oh, you bought that? That sucks. Well, what do you mean? Like, it does the same thing yours does. Like, you talk about the gatekeeping. Dudes, not even FUDs, but just like, hardo dudes will go buy Noveski, or they'll go buy whatever. Like, they'll somehow get a hold of a fucking CAC and be like, oh, dude, your arrow, dude, that sucks. Like, well, he shoots it better than you. He actually shoots it. Like, why does it suck?
Yeah, it's such a weird thing, too. And I totally agree. Guys who just, like, live and die by people or companies or whatever, just based on what they see outright. Because I mean, there's been several times I've gotten to meet people who are in this, you know, this sect or whatever, and then I'm like, yeah, that dude's kind of a fucking loser. Like, I don't, you know, like he's definitely not at all who or he or she portrays himself as. And like, now that I get to know him, it's like, yeah, I kind of like wish I had my time back. But I mean, you know, but on the flip side, like you were saying, you get to meet people who don't focus and like hone their life completely in and around guns. And I think that's how you should do. I mean, like, dude, I think that was like the biggest polarizing moment for me, was especially with Corey. And I don't know, it was like I guess like a light switch. And I was like, you know, it's refreshing that there are people in this kind of type. And like you said, I don't like saying community. I don't like saying industry, because I think it's just just a lame ass way of saying it. And like you said, like, people are always at each other's throats. It's like the most self-hating community ever.
Yeah, dude.
Like, it's wild. I don't know. It's just super, I don't know. It just tiresome, like you said. It gets old. It gets boring, and you know, I totally understand like the going through phases. So let's get out of guns real quick. But that being said, I do want to come back because I want to discuss kind of like stuff that you're we'll go and do that now. So you're in the transitional period. This will probably be posted so you'll be all on freelance. So is that what you're planning on going towards? Is like freelancing and then having your own business?
Yeah, as of right now, just my kind of short-sighted view of everything is I'm just going to freelance myself out to mostly the homies. Anyone who has a business that needs help, and obviously even people that I don't know as well, doing basically what I was doing at Q, but probably on a smaller scale, just like, photo, kind of, I want to help with marketing, but more on a like teach you how to fish type thing, as opposed to me just doing it for you.
Yeah, finished product stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of companies that I notice that they don't utilize certain tools as much as they should. And it's something that I learned about, obviously, at Q. Just especially with Q, like on social media, we lose accounts all the time. And so it's important to have other methods to
distribute,
to reach to contribute and to reach your consumer. Like, I won't say his name, but our buddy from IlPro, like when he lost his account, I think he had a drop going on when he lost his account, just like didn't have a way to reach his consumer base. So there are certain things that are important, and I think that it gets lost on people sometimes because no one wants to invest in marketing, especially in this industry. People just want the more guns we can pump out, the more money we'll make. But obviously, what's going to sell the guns? They're not going to. If you don't show them to people, no one's going to see them. So but yeah, I'm gonna try to freelance and do that stuff. Basically, whatever people need, specifically photo stuff. I've gotten into writing recently. It's always something I was interested in, but I've just like started back up, and like Roque Attack on Fish let me write a blog post for him, and he posted it, and a lot of people hit me up and were stoked on it, which is really cool. And so that's something I want to do for people as well, and kind of incorporate that. And I mean, pipe dream, it would be tight to be just a photojournalist traveling around, but short term, a lot of photo stuff. I can run a video camera, but I'm ass at post. Video is like my least favorite shit ever, but I can do it, but I gotta get better at it for sure.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people have that same response, especially with video. But dude, that is super cool. That's a very good sect realm that I think people don't realize or don't know that they need. I'll be the first one to admit, like, that's something probably I would benefit heavily from. So I'm gonna have to fly you down to South Carolina. Yeah, that'd be super rad. Yeah, but it's a very cool sect because there is a lot of people who do make or can make a cool product or have something they do have that's pretty cool or pretty rad, but they just don't know how to distribute that message very well. Like, they just don't know how to market it. And then same thing. Like, I think so I started this account. I started Circa Craft. I think it was in 2020 technically. So it's almost 2 years ago. And it was like in May I started the account. The first couple months, I always will reference Corey because I remember chatting and discussing it. Like, it was like a fucking smorgasbord. I didn't know what I wanted to fucking do. It wasn't, I was still full time in another position, another job, and at the same time, I didn't really kind of know how to, go and navigate. And I was like, well, I don't, what am I fucking supposed to do? And I would do the earlier podcasts were so bad. Like, it was just me rambling. I sound like a fucking schizophrenic. But once I kind of honed it in, it was much better, and I kind of like had an idea of what direction I wanted to go. But earlier on, I lost all my like marketing and advertising capabilities on a bullshit thing. Like, it took me forever to figure out what it was like branded as, but Instagram like ripped it away from me. And so I've always said that my account has always been just like on a blacklist. Like, I never got taken down, but there's no advertising, promoting abilities, and everything. Just like, I would just get errors or like, something is wrong with this, blah, blah, blah. Please reset. And, it never fixes it. So that would always it would be so frustrating to me. And then I realized very early on, like, okay, I need to find other avenues to distribute, to notify people, because you do get densed, and, that's a part of being on Instagram. You just have to understand that. Like, when people say, oh, I'm shadow banned. Well, dude, half the people are going to be shadow banned at some point or blah blah blah. I don't ever complain or bitch about it. It just is what it is. You got to work through it yourself.
Yeah, yeah,
So, but be like you said, finding other ways and alternative methods, especially for dudes who are really committed or about whatever you're making. You need to have find a way, an outlet to send out information, whether it just be an easy sign up newsletter or even like Telegram, like what Privateer does. He does a great job, Derek over at
yeah,
Privateer.
yeah,
So, but yeah, man,
yeah.
that's really cool. So when did you start getting into like photography and stuff? Because like I know like you're talking about like we'll talk about photography first because
Yeah.
we were bullshitting yesterday and it was pretty fucking funny. But so
Yeah,
like
yeah.
so we'll talk about
Oh yeah,
photography and
go
then we'll
ahead.
do marketing. Yeah, sorry, I was like rambling. Continue.
No, you're good, dude. No, so photography, it's something I've always been into.
Hmm.
Growing up, I was well. So when I was young, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be a documentary like filmer,
Yeah.
um, and or filmmaker or whatever. And grow like my entire upbringing, all I cared about were like skate videos, like Wild Boys, Jackass, Viva La Bam, like just that
Yeah, yeah.
that whole era of time. Um, because I mean that my whole childhood was that early 2000s. So I was super into that. Like when I was little, my dream was to be a skate filmer. Um, and I did it a little bit with my friends just because I was real bad at skating. But I realized like if I have a
Yeah.
camera, like everyone will ask me to come with them. Um, so I did that, and then I kind of fell off. I was always I have so many like photo books and everything. I've always been super like a closet art nerd. Um, like no one ever really I guess realized it. But yeah, I've always been super into art, and then got out of high school. I went in the Air Force. Um, didn't do anything crazy. It was a pogue. Got out, and then upon coming back, I just kind of got into a bunch of stuff, and I was taking little photos here and there on just like whatever cheap my parents' cameras or whatever,
Hmm.
but nothing serious. And then it wasn't until Q when two of my coworkers there, Adam Johnson and Colin Banich, were like, they were both super into Fujifilm,
Hmm.
and they would talk about it all the time. And I was like, damn, dude, you guys' cameras are cool. Like, I used to be super into it. Like, I want to get back into it. And they're like, well, why don't you just do it? Like, go get a camera and then do our photography. So they kind of pushed me into it, and that was a couple years ago. And so again, like we talked about, once I did it, I just kind of went all out, and now it's basically all I do. All of my free time I spend. If I'm not shooting photos, I'm learning about photography
Hmm.
or I'm looking at photo books or whatever. That's like all encompassing of my world is photography in some way, shape, or form.
That's really cool. So that's always been my thing too, because I think you kind of have to have a creative eye, right? Especially in photography. Like I don't think
Yeah,
anyone can just be a photographer. And I will say everyone has a capability of being like a average photographer, but I think,
yeah,
anyone can be a photographer, especially with like the advancements like in iPhones and stuff like that. Like you can make some decent photos, especially for like social media purposes.
right.
But like when actually taking, pictures of photography, you have to have a little bit of that creative zest, I guess. And so it's kind of interesting you had like that passion earlier on with Jackass. Dude, I was just rewatching the shows, but I'll before I jump off that and ramble off. But yeah, dude, that's really cool. So is that kind of like your, not saying like that, but like that shooting, that styling, is that kind of the stuff that you kind of prefer even today? It's kind of like the skating,
Um,
like the outlook and like aspects and like angles and stuff.
yeah, yeah, I think so. I think like, especially now too, when I watch skate films, for the most part, everyone switched over to HD, and no one really
Hmm.
uses like VX1000s anymore or anything like
Yeah.
that. Standard definition, and I find myself watching a lot of older films. Just kind of, it's like a nostalgia thing, I guess. But it's funny because going from that, I ended up as I started shooting photos. Um, I help out at Q2 shooting video. So we have a videographer, but like when we go to Africa, he needs a second camera. So I'll run
Hmm.
the second cam. Like I'll do it. It's just I'm not interested in making video at all, which is the opposite of what I thought when I was growing up. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
video's cool. I want to do that, whatever. And I just kind of figured out that I don't give a shit about making videos. It as time goes on, it's something that I do want to end up learning how to do because I think people they take in video more
Yeah.
And this could go on a whole rant, but
Oh, sure, sure.
And we'll go into it, but about print making a comeback. But people, our attention spans are fucked. So obviously, people are gonna take in video. I think at least on a social media platform, they're gonna take in video more so than they're gonna take in a still image. But now like the shooting, it's funny because I think a lot of people are disappointed when they end up finding my Instagram and then following me because they assume, like people that hear from me from Q, they assume it's going to just be like gun photos.
Yeah.
And there's really no gun photos on there. Like it's not what I want to shoot. I just want to shoot very ordinary things, that go overlooked a lot. And just, I don't know, make them look cool to me. Like, I don't expect anyone to like any of my photos at all, which probably sounds cliche, but I understand what the subject matter is. Like, it's not anything extraordinary. But I don't know, people do like them, which is tight, and I'm very appreciative of it, and it just makes me want to do it more.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I was going to say too, because, and I can't remember what, I'm trying to remember the reference of how I found you. I didn't, it's like I said, I never knew what your account was or who your main one, but I think it was something that Austin had posted and then you had responded and tagged and I was
okay.
And then when I saw the name, I was like, oh, I wonder if this is Jay. And I click on it and I'm like, oh, really cool. And then I was like, dude, this guy's, profile is actually pretty dope. And but the number one thing that I liked was the fact it didn't have guns all over it, because like, that's like, like for me, people will get upset because maybe I'll unfollow them or something like that. But it's because I don't want to see guns all the fucking time. Like, I want to see stuff that inspires me, or like stuff that people are doing or producing that's like, oh, that's really cool how they did that. Or, photography wise, especially, because you're always trying to find ways to, I mean, like most pictures I take don't ever make it anywhere. They end up being like on my personal account. Like, I prefer them, but the same thing. I don't like everything being guns all the time. Like, how many times can you take a fucking picture of a gun, right? Like,
dude, exactly.
It just
guns are super.
It's generic.
One thing I found at Q doing the photography of the guns is that, like, one, guns can be super uninspiring, and two, it's very hard to take photos that are outside the box with guns. So like, if you're a watch photographer or a wallet photographer, you can go to an IKEA and in one day use the pre-made homes, throw the wallet down, and take 40 different photos in 40 different locations, all in the same place. You can't do that with a gun. You can't just bring a gun to lunch with you and then fucking lay it on the table or like. So it's hard to photograph guns too. At least doing stuff that hasn't been done.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, to me, is fucking so uninspiring. Like, I know some dudes that I deem are like technically some of the best photographers in the world, and the only stuff that I see from them is guns. And like, they do it so well and so proficiently, but I'm like, man, I want to see other stuff that because I know how good you are at that. You would be amazing at this, so I want to see it.
Yeah, that's. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you're good.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I'm like secretly. I haven't talked about it at all, but I'm kind of secretly working on a photo zine with a lot of the gun photographers that everyone knows on Instagram, like the biggest ones. Mm-hmm. And the little zine is going to include photos with no guns. It's going to be all that other shit. It's going to be film shots, black and white, portraits, landscapes, everything that you don't see that these guys are known for a style. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be stuff that they're not known for. So I want the reader to look at it and go, damn, that dude took that photo. Like, I love his gun photos. I didn't know he did this kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's kind of the impetus for that. And I'm getting some help from the dude at Dynamic Concepts, mm-hmm. The Rendezvous Intelligentsia, those dudes. I'm getting some help from them, kind of laying it all out. And I don't have an exact timeline on it, but it's being worked on currently.
Yeah, that's really cool, and that's actually something I've wanted to do. Not specifically to like that exact like styling or what the project, but doing like little magazines is really cool too. I think it's underappreciated as well. I know Forward Observation really kind of popularized it, but I don't think it was for the aspect of a magazine. I think it was just for like the pictures and then outlooks of some of the guys that were in it. But having a good, like, just a photo picture book of outside work, so that way these guys do get a little more respect, I guess, because like you said, I guess just gets cumbersome, dude. I couldn't imagine some of those guys that they just get stuck in this like not the rivet, but like this valley, right? Like
Yeah.
I could only imagine. I mean, you have to find ways of keeping a creative edge, especially in ever changing market as well. So that's
Yeah.
really cool,
And
dude.
that was one thing that that I was kind of nervous about, was because the guys over at Fog did the coffee table book. So I know them as well. So I hit them up, and uh, one of them, I won't say his name, but I hit him up and was like, hey, man, I'm doing this thing. I'm not trying to bite the coffee table books at all. This is kind of like the impetus for why I'm doing it. This is what it's going to include. Like, I just want to tell you before I do it, because I don't want you to think I'm biting. And he was like, dude, that sounds sick. Like, count me in. Like, he wanted to be a part of it.
Oh, that's really
So
cool.
it was cool. And it kind of leads into the thing that I mentioned before, but like, print is going to make a comeback. And it's like, it probably sounds sensationalized because I'm like leaving my job and I'm trying to like,
No, no, dude,
sell
no.
myself to
Fucking
sell
hype yourself
myself
up,
to
bro.
people. But but
Hype it.
print's gonna make a comeback, and it comes from that lack of attention span that we see because of Instagram. And you see, like, we're so trained to just kind of scroll through. You see something for a couple seconds, you double tap it, and you're like, oh, that's tight. Double tap, move on,
Yep.
and you move on. But if you go to a museum, like, I go to museums all the time, art museums, history museums, whatever. I go all the time. And art museums specifically, you can stand in an art museum in the center of a room and look around, and you'll see people standing looking at a painting or a photo or whatever, a sculpture, for minutes at a time, because it's right there. They can see it. It's tangible. They can't necessarily touch it, but it's like they can see the detail. They care about the detail now that they're there. And it's not even like art dudes. It's kids on field trips. It's the teachers. It's people that don't have to be art people, but it's just another medium that they're not so used to seeing all the time, and they give a shit about it. Like Field Ethos, they just did a print journal, and people are stoked on it. Like, the having print, having a tangible item is super important. And like, I'm sure we'll touch on it later, but like, I have a few prints for sale just like on my website that no one knows about.
I was gonna say, I didn't even know you
just
had a fucking website.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no one knows. I'd like basically just kind of made it live the other night and didn't say anything about it, just because like I want to have a tangible product for people to go and see, and I don't want it to be like especially like here, if someone were to hear the name of it or whatever and then go, well, I'll check it out while I'm like on the pod at work or something. And if it's just like there's nothing on there, they're probably not going to come back in 2 weeks and be like, oh, I want to buy a print now that it's there. So I was just kind of waiting, and so I have something there. It's kind of like a framework, and have some prints that people can buy or whatever. But whatever, we'll see.
Yeah, dude,
eventually it'll turn into something else.
That's really cool. But I mean, you have to start somewhere in that aspect and have that foresight of doing it as well. But man, that's really cool. Like just in general, having that outlook. Do you think you would have had this similar outlook if maybe you had a head start, or maybe you would kind of realize that you wanted to be in this realm earlier on when you were younger? Do you think you would have been able to do something similar to that? I mean, obviously you learned a lot at Q too, but still.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, you're good, dude.
I'm not sure, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I find myself like very similar to Corey in a lot of aspects, where he'll get onto something and he'll go all the way into it, like we talked about, and he'll be super like, dude, when a year ago we were in Texas and that dude was stoked on long range. That's all he wanted to shoot. Now he's a big machine gun guy. Like, right before the long range thing, he was a big CQB guy. So like, he's all into different stuff, and I think that honestly, like, when I think back, I think that I hit it at just the right time. Like, we had a need for something, and it was something that I was like vaguely interested in, and kind of got the push to just do it. And by doing that, I think it hit at the right time to where I'm like, okay, I'm hooked on this. I think if I had like a formal education at an art school or a photography school or whatever, I don't think it would potentially mean as much as it does, or I don't think it would necessarily hook me as much as it does. Like, formal education on things doesn't always, it's not always the best route. Like, I'm in a band with like whatever, my friends, and one of them works at Q. He does the podcast, and all of us are self-taught. Like, none of us have any formal education, but we all have we're all very proficient at our instruments, but I think that with any sort of formal education, and it's not always the way, but I think with a formal education, you lose a lot of that,
Creative.
for lack of a better term, like, freedom and like feel.
Yeah.
Like I can watch a guitar player. I don't even play guitar, but I could watch a guitar player and they can be technically so proficient, but they're a robot. They have no feel. They don't like, there's no individuality in it. And I think that because just the way things worked out, especially with the photography thing, I think that I was able to jump on it, have to do it, and then through having to do it, finding an interest, like really giving a shit about it.
Yeah.
So long answer for your question, but no, I think if I had this head start or I had done it earlier, that I think I would be shooting things differently, and I think I may not be as into it. I don't think I would spend all of my time doing it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's, I'm trying to think of the best way of phrasing it, but I totally agree. First of all, I think that there's an over push of having a formal education to invest your time or maybe follow or charge after a career path. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I definitely agree, because you have a instructor or a various amount of instructors, teachers, blah, 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 that tell you this is how it needs to be done. And unfortunately, as one of my best friends has told me earlier on, he's like, those who teach cannot do, you know? So it's
exactly.
like, you know, and I'm not saying that's true, but, you know, obviously the ones that maybe are teaching in that, especially in that realm, maybe just incapable of expanding their vision somewhere. So they know everything. And like you said, they're robots, you know, not everybody.
And I mean,
obviously.
even think about it like, if you've ever taught something to somebody, like you may be a subject matter expert on something and you have to instruct somebody else to do it. You're going to teach them to do it the way that you do it. Not necessarily the way it was taught to you, not necessarily the quote unquote proper way, but you're going to teach them the way you do it. So over time, you're going to lose that. Something gets lost in there. It's like a game of telephone, basically. Like if someone's teaching me how to shoot a photo, they're going to teach me the way that they do it, because, you know, however many hours they've done it, this is what they found is proper. But you lose that individuality. You lose that. I mean, you could even lose the inspiration. Like, someone shows me how to shoot something, and it's not what I would ever do. Like, I don't know. I don't want to go shoot that now.
Yeah, it gets cumbersome, you know.
Right.
I definitely agree, because I'll ask this, and I'll let you know what I think. But if, for instance, did you ever think that, like, earlier on, like that's how the career path was? Like when you were younger, did you think that you needed to have some form of background or education in order to really get your foot in the door? Is that something that maybe discouraged you from kind of following it a little bit closer when you were younger and really into like skate, you know, photography and all that stuff?
Yeah, honestly, I felt that way about a lot of things. I went to public school, so like you're obviously pushed that college is the next step, and I knew that I didn't want to do that. Like I was self-aware enough to understand, like, I would have done fine in college, but it's not what I want to do. And so, yeah, I think for a lot of things, like if you were to ask me, whatever, almost 10 years ago when I was starting at SIG, if you were to say like, hey, you're going to go to this other company, do marketing, do their photography, do all their partnership marketing stuff. Oh, and we're going to put you on the podcast and like put your face on merch. I'd be like, go fuck yourself. Like, that's crazy. And honestly, like a lot of it, I didn't have a formal education on. So like for me, it's always been about, like, I'll give you an example at SIG, and this is probably outing SIG just because everyone knows their quality's dog shit as of late. But when I started at SIG, it was the first place I applied when I came home. They hired me. I got hired for one thing. It's funny because I actually got hired in suppressors under Kevin, and didn't know him at the time. And that's people forget that Kevin was at SIG too. But got hired doing that. They canned our shift, like second shift suppressors, whatever, and just kind of tossed us into another building to help out. And I was doing straight up shitty work, like deburring barrels for 10 hours at a day or whatever, like night shift, standing at a wheel, deburring fucking feed ramps on a pistol barrel or whatever. Like, I fucking hated it.
Yeah.
And I kind of like, I got into like a little like verbal altercation with someone there, and whatever, it was what it was. It wasn't like a huge deal, but I basically was just like, bro, I don't fucking need this job. Like, I'm not your slave, whatever. And a quality guy came up to me and was like, "Hey, I heard you're not liking what you're doing. Like, do you want to go over to another one of the facilities and do OSP inspection, which is like kind of the last inspection before it goes out the door?" And I was like, "Yeah, tight. I'll go do that. When do I start?" And he's like, "Monday." So I went over to the new place. I showed up early and was asking around. He told me to go look for someone specifically, and I show up. I'm like, "Hey, do you know where this person is?" And everyone's like, "No." So I kind of just hung around, like looked at some stuff, and I went over to the OSP section, and I saw these like their carts, and they had each cart probably had 50 or 60 rifle barrels on it, and there are like 20 carts, and that was OSP. Like you pick each one up and you visually inspect it, and then put it back in the thing. And I was like, dude, I know I don't want to do that. So when it came time that dude came in that I needed to meet, I met up with him, and he was like, I was like, "Hey man, they sent me over from wherever," and he's like, "Oh, I didn't know." Like they said, "Yeah, ask for you." He's like, "Oh, I didn't know you're coming." Whatever, sick communication over at SIG. Um, and he was like, "Well, what did they say you were gonna do?" And knowing that I had just seen all the OSP shit over there, I was like, "Fuck, not trying to do that." So I was like, "They just said I was gonna be an inspector," and he's like, "All right, go follow." One of the inspectors over there, go follow him around. Like, I'll put the paperwork in, you're good to go. So I faked the funk. I was like, "Yeah, dude, they told me I was gonna be an inspector. I don't know." And and he believed me. So he's like, "Okay, cool." So he did it. But now I was in the position of like, I better figure this the fuck out, because if someone checks me, like, I'm screwed. So I followed this dude around, and I was probably the most annoying dude. I asked so many questions originally to be like, "What is this? What is it?" Dude, I didn't know how to read like micrometers at the time. I didn't know how to use a height stand. I didn't know how to use a CMM. All this shit that I have to do every day. And I was like, "Hey, oh, can you show me how to do this? Whatever." And he's like, "Yeah, I guess, whatever." But I learned. I would go home and I would learn how to do the shit at home. I'd sit there and watch videos on how to use a height stand, how to program this, how to do that. And I just figured it out. And then eventually, by the time I left SIG, I was the lead inspector at one of the facilities on my shift. So I was younger than everybody and hadn't been doing it for very long, but they made me. I had a boss that was super good and super informative and helped me a lot, and he made me the lead over there. So I faked the funk at first, but then I was kind of put in that position, kind of similar to AQ, where they were like, "Get a camera and do our photography," where it was like, "Okay, I'm here now. I need to figure it out. Like, I need to do it, or I'm fucked."
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the best way of learning something is like trial by fire.
Yeah.
And there's been several times that I've found myself like, I know that like one job I got and they had, the other person had just left. I took over it, not realizing how much of a headache and just an absolute shit show it was. I had no idea how to do it, but they just knew that everywhere I went, I was doing a good job. So I go in there and I'm like, right in the middle of like audit season of going through and finding all these assets and like realizing that there's like $30,000 missing assets and missing stuff. And I'm like, oh my fucking God, and it was like one of those things where I'm like, I've got to learn how to do this if I want to keep it moving forward. So, but yeah, man, I don't know. I think that's a good outlook. I mean, even like what I do now, it was kind of like one of those things where a lot of what I'm doing now doesn't have a lot of to do with what I used to do. So it's always been a learning aspect, but finding creative or any kind of like inspiration from someone and then like, okay, if I want to do this, I need to fucking learn how to do it. Like it's just It's just one of those things. Like if you were passionate about something, I think you'll put the time in and the dedication, even if you are time wise at a limit. Like, oh well, I do this and do that. So it's like, well, if you want to get better at it, you got to find a way to dedicate time to it. Like, I mean, if you really enjoy it, you will find a method or an outlet or a way of improving yourself if you are about what you say, So
yeah,
that's really,
and I think that helps. I think that helps push you forward too. Like if I had a formal education in GD&T or whatever, and I show up, like I just would have been stagnant. I assume I just would have been like, okay, I know how to do this. I'm going to do it, and because there was no desire, like I'll be the first to tell you, like it's probably fucking outing myself now, but like if I don't believe in something, it's so hard for me to get excited about it and like want to put all my energy into it. And if I don't believe in 5 things in a row, it looks like, man, this dude doesn't want to be here. But like, it's not even that. It's just like, I'm not going to jump for joy. I'll get it done, but I'm not going to do jumping jacks and tell you how I think this is the coolest thing in the world. Yeah. Like It's just whatever.
Yeah, dude, and I think that is so momentous too, because like, I mean, there's been several times like, even I don't do a lot of commission design stuff, but I'll do it occasionally. But I found myself earlier on like accepting stuff just for the sake of accepting it, and I would, you
Right.
know, like I would do it, and dude, like I felt bad, and sometimes I would just like here, dude, it's free, but like I just, you know, it just did not line up with what I enjoy doing. And when it doesn't line up, then it's just like, yeah, you're not going to get a superior product, you know, and it sucks,
Exactly.
you know, but like you'll get what you wanted, but it's like, yeah, this is kind of just not it, you know, like, and I think that's a lot of stuff in life. And I think there's a lot of stuff in jobs and all that in career path. And then, you know, like, I think you always hear the whole, like the montage of like, if you do what you love, you're never really working. But, you know, I would always like laugh it off and scoff it off. But I think in some aspects, even though it's like the same boomer kind of FUD kind of thing, you say, oh, I don't know why I always kind of just laughed it off, and it even sounds goofy now. But that being said, I do think there's a lot of truth to it. But you can be profitable and stuff like that. You just have to
Right.
really hone your craft. You have to put time into it. You have to dedicate time to it, and actually do what you enjoy doing and love. And, you know, keeping it fresh and you know, actually following kind of what you believe is vital, because otherwise, like you
Of course.
said, it's just you lose that creative edge. But dude, I agree, man, because I think when you're instructional and, you know, it's just like this way or the highway. Well, this is how I was taught. Like that's always something, right? People say that
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Isn't that a weird thing? Like, well, this is how I was taught. Like, there's
Or
no way of improving
or
it.
this is how it's always been done.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Dude,
exactly.
that's my favorite. Well, we've always done it this way. All right, well that way's fucked up, so do it a different way.
Yeah, it's a weird mentality to have that. Like, and I see it a lot, like in places, especially when they have a younger, a younger, like a younger workforce, or someone who maybe wants to improve or innovate, or I don't know, maybe is hungry. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's shortcut methods that people will say that, and it's like, well, this is how we've always done it. Well, it's like, does that mean that there's no way of improving what you've already done? Is this a
Right.
cap? Is this the capital? Like, this is the head, like this is the roof, and there's nothing above that. So if that's the case, then yeah, I mean, maybe I need to go somewhere else then. You know,
Right. And
it's
I
just
think that's the
discouraging.
disconnect too. Like
Yeah.
I worked at I mean, I say I spent 4 years at SIG, so like I worked there, and there are people there that every day want to do better than they did the day before, and they always want to climb. But there are other people there that are just there to collect a paycheck, and that's
Yeah.
fine for them. Like there are those people that are just like, I'm gonna punch in, collect my paycheck, and punch out, and like when I can retire, then I'll enjoy my life. But I guess it's probably like a millennial mentality of like I don't probably there's probably not going
Hmm.
to be retirement by the time I can retire. So I want to do the things that I know I believe in and that I know that I enjoy. I want to do them as soon as possible. And if I'm able to make my way doing it, then it makes sense. And that's a thing that I struggle with kind of transitioning out of Q is that it's scary because I don't have anything. I don't have any like solid. Okay,
Hmm.
this is my income every month. I'm gonna have to figure out how to pay my bills. But I know that deep down. I know that it's gonna make me the most content. It's gonna make me the most happy.
Yeah.
And for right now, that's the move. Like that's what I want. Maybe in 3 years, I decide I don't care about that anymore. But as of right now, that's what I want.
Well, in your realm too, you can take that realm and jump in real quick and do something, and that, you know, maybe that you're not as like passionate about, but you're like, okay, I know I can get a paycheck from this, and that
Right.
works. It's fine. And it, you know, meets a certain means, but the general, you know, goal obviously is always to do like the things that you put the most inspiration in are like the ones that you'd be the most passionate about. But yeah, dude, I'm so much on the same wavelength of that stuff, and I think it was always just wild. I remember one guy that I worked for, and also one of the reasons why I quit. Like I just it was I'll have to that's a story for another time, honestly, because
Yeah.
it's oh I just come off as bitching and moaning, but it's an interesting story within itself. But it's kind of how this
Yeah.
really moved in kind of like expedited. But yeah, I'll never forget him like talking about someone leaving, and he was like, "Why would you want to leave? You get everything this, you get everything here, and you get this retirement and like these benefits, and none of it was really that good." But he was on this mindset that like, how could you do better than this? Like
Right.
this is perfect. Like, and then you retire, and it's just like, man, dude, you don't have any like outlook for people who want to better themselves. Like it's like a gatekeeping mentality, but then there's also Like you just want to slave your life away, and then when you get there, then you're like, okay, now I can do whatever I want with a minimal like whatever retirement or whatever. But I mean, it's like, dude, what does everyone bitch about when they get older? Like people in retirement are like they have nothing to do and they're bored and they're fucking miserable.
Right.
Well, it's like, well,
or I wish I did this when I was younger.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's just it's just mind blowing that people have this outlook on stuff, and then they also will shower that on other people. And I've found that miserable people also will do that. They'll give this mindset or this mentality towards other people that maybe look up to them, or maybe that they are over that this whatever standard, and then maybe can cast a shadow on it and kind of kill whatever that is. Because I'm sure that happens to a lot of people. But man, it's just wild, dude. It is. It's a wild fucking world. But I do think that the world is, I don't want to say world, but like, at least like here is kind of trending in a mindset of you don't have to go to college for all career paths that maybe previously that you thought you did. So like, I think that's momentous too. Like, I mean, what I'm doing has nothing to do with, I mean, I went to college, but dude, I never paid attention. I don't even know how I got through college. 4 years, I went out, and but I was like, I don't even remember anything really. I mean, there's like some aspects of it, some of the classes and stuff like that I thought were interesting, but it's mostly communication stuff, which I guess is kind of on the same streamline, but that's not what my major was or whatever. But, but yeah, it's just wild. I mean, I don't know.
There are definitely times where I think to myself like, fuck, I wonder if I would be better if I went to if I got a degree in photography, or but then I'm just like, what's it matter? I go out and shoot more than half the people I know. Like, who cares? Like, and at the end of the day, like I said it originally, obviously it's cool when people are like, hey, I saw that photo you took. That's really cool. That's the coolest feeling ever. But at the end of the day, like you can see it if you look at my Instagram. Like, I'm shooting shit that straight up I probably only like fucking gas stations, or I mean, it's like cliche shit. Like when you look at street photographers or documentary photographers, whatever. But like, I'm looking at buildings that I've driven by millions of times growing up. But one day I was just like, oh, I should shoot that. Like, it looks cool today. I'm going to shoot that. Like, just whatever. And I don't need a degree to go do that. I know how to use my camera. I can figure out an exposure triangle. That's all I need to do, basically.
Yeah. Well, I think
it's more than I can say for half the people around here. Doing fucking wedding photos and whatever.
I will say, when you do stuff like that, I think it just makes you hungrier, right?
Yeah, I agree.
I think it kind of makes you a little bit more hungry for improving yourself, and always finding that there is a medium that you can improve or do, or like, how can I make this into something that I like, because I like I don't know, like there's been several times I've done this something similar, and I'm just like, okay, well, what do I need to do to improve this? Like, I would love to do this, or like use this for something. So that's a really cool outlet. So damn, we probably changed someone's life in about 30-40 minutes, dude. That's pretty cool.
I hope so.
Yeah, tight. Yeah, but I do think that there is a lot of people who have that mentality, or they've been drilled into that they have to go through this in order to get into this other sector, or work area. But dude, I totally agree. Just to be passionate about a lot of stuff, you have to be actually passionate about something. Like, there's a difference between someone who like, oh, I really like this, I really like I really like that, and they could be someone who can read the manual off to you. But, if you don't apply, like, you don't actually, I guess, like, put your feet, just get your fucking feet dirty, I think it just, it's pointless, it's pointless.
Yeah. And I think the one thing that I've learned the most, and it's through this creative space too, is that if you are passionate about it, people will see that. Like, I don't know if I said it to you or whoever, but I said it recently that, like, being around people who are inspired is what inspires me. Like, seeing other people get stoked on their work makes me go, oh man, I got to go do something so I can be stoked like that. Yeah. And through that, you'll end up being around those people. And then, as far as, I guess, like, quote unquote making it, and I can't really even say that because I haven't made it, but like, this kind of space is 100% about who you know. Like, if you don't have a formal education, who cares? Like, because I met this dude, he put me in touch with this dude. Like, I mean, even just like what we're doing right now. Yeah. Like, we know mutual people. If I didn't know those dudes, we may never have crossed paths. I may never have known that you existed. You would know I existed, but I may never have known you existed, that's not true. You wouldn't know I existed, but
no, dude, it's fine. But it's true though. It's true though. That's just one of those things. I mean, I don't know. That's what I've always tried to do. And and you can even call it as a, oh, my dog's next to me. What's up, Bubba? You can always call it as something that's like fake it till you make it, but also obviously if you were trying to just put yourself in and search yourself, if you don't try to benefit. And I think that's also a big part is if you're not around people who are also trying to innovate or improve or, you know, just better themselves. And like you said, like getting excited about other stuff, dude, that's like, I don't know. Like that's kind of like what the podcast started as. Like I would be, dude, I tell that to people all the time. I did the podcast initially because I was living vicariously through people who were doing what they loved and like passionate about. And I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
Like that's like so inspiring. So that makes me want to like, you know, better myself. And then I, you know, initially I was like, I mean, I'm stuck in this shitty fucking job. I hate this fucking place. It's, you know, it's getting miserable by the day. And like, and then finally it just came to a point where like, okay, well, I'm ready to get the fuck out. Like, I don't want to be like this for the rest of my life. You know, if I can't advocate people chasing a passion or chasing something. And then here I am living my day life. And I'm like banging my head against a desk. You know, it's like,
right. Exactly.
Yeah. You got to go for it. You know, sometimes you just have to take that risk. Sometimes it pays off. Sometimes it doesn't. You can always go back and find something to do, you know, work wise, if you completely flop, you know. So
yeah, and I'm not sure if it happens to you ever, but like I feel like sometimes I get imposter syndrome just because I do surround myself with all these people who I hold so highly.
Yeah.
And I look at their stuff and I go, "Fuck me, I'm blowing it." And but in the same right, that imposter syndrome, like it motivates me to go, "Okay, well, I need to not blow it now. Like I need to be better. I don't want to be the imposter. I want to be the real deal."
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to look. I mean, I think I've even seen people who do the same thing, but to me, it's like the fact that I see someone wanting to improve or wanting to better themselves is to me is awesome to see. Like that's what I want. Like right. That's like the same thing. Like people ask questions, and then you'll always get a mixed bag of people who are minimal effort, low effort shit that they're just asking for like, you know, shortcuts, which I think is different from asking for like help or like I'm trying to think the word way of saying it. But pretty much, you know, someone who's trying to, I don't want to say fake it, you make it, or imposter syndrome, but it's like they're there, but now they're like, oh, so how do you do this exactly? Like, what, you know, I think there's a difference when you're like, okay, well, like, you know, how do I improve? I think there's a difference between like wanting to improve what you do to be better and maybe get out of that imposter syndrome. And then the other side of like, so what exactly, you know, what is your methods of doing this? Like the automated, what's the manual of what you or how you do, or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be like anything specific, but yeah, that's wild. That's wild. I do get it a lot though. I really do. There's like a bunch of people and I'm just like, they'll say something along the lines of like, dude, love what you do, love your crowd. I'm like, I'm a fucking nobody. Like, I don't know what you're talking about, dude. Like, I'm just your typical white male, middle-aged male with a microphone and a podcast, like every other white age middleman with a podcast. So, but
dude, it's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy that like how, I don't know, like not to pat myself on the back or whatever, but like with Q, we would go on these trips to whatever. We did one in Nashville or just outside of Nashville recently. That was really cool. And like, people who watch the podcast or who see the videos or whatever coming up to me like, hey dude, can I take a photo? I'm like, with who? Me? Like, what the I'm just a shithead, dude. Like I just say stupid shit on camera sometimes. Like I don't like you're like a doctor or something. Like I don't know. What the fuck do I do? But it's cool. It's a cool experience and I'm super appreciative of everyone that honestly, everyone that just says what's up. Like even at SHOT Show, I had this conversation the other day with some people. Like there were dudes that I had met on whatever, like we talked on Instagram or whatever through the mutual friends. Mm-hmm. And then at SHOT Show, I'm in front of your face and I get like, dudes will like big time you, or they'll be offended that you don't know who they are. And then you go home and it's just like, they'll message you and be like, hey dude, it was good to meet you, blah, 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 like whatever. Like we'll have to hang. And I'm like, who the fuck, dude? Like you, who are you?
Yeah.
It's such a strange thing. And at the end of the day, we're all really kind of nobodies. Like,
yeah, no, exactly.
I don't think you're a nobody. I'll be the nobody.
Bro. I appreciate it. No, dude, bro, you're not a nobody, bro. Not nobody.
Hell yeah, dude.
Only people who use Sony Alphas are nobodies.
True, dude. War on Sony. Fucking A.
Right out of fucking left field. Bam, bam. Damn, dude.
Let people know right now that if anyone buys another Sony Alpha anything, I'm going to shut down the Sony factory.
I'm going over there. I'm fucking shutting it down myself.
Dude, I'll make the call. Like, enjoy it while you can. I will make the call and shut it down.
I do want to jump into that because I do want to get into that. But yeah, dude, I totally agree. It's to me, I'm almost embarrassed sometime. Like, I'm always humbled by when people like will have any kind of relation or find or see stuff, and it's like, I don't know. It's kind of I'm almost embarrassed to be proud of myself, but at the same time, like, it's so humbling. Like, it's never like one of those things where like, oh yeah, well, damn right. I never look at it that way. To me, it's just like, wow, it's just like a humbling moment of like, dude, that's just such a hype thing. Like, I don't know, I just get so jazzed up, and I get more inspired when stuff like that happens. It's awesome, and I don't want to like hype it up when those occurrences, you know, come through. But it's, you know, at the same time, it's like, damn, dude, that's really fucking cool. Like, that's really rad. So yeah, very cool.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah. So back to the Inquisition of Sony. So what camera are you shooting with now?
So I have a little charcuterie board of cameras that I roll around with. Primarily, the camera that I shoot the most is a Fujifilm X Pro 3. And I will shoot it in JPEG. I don't even shoot that camera RAW. I just shoot it in JPEG. It's got tight film sims. I believe the dude's name is Richie over at Fuji X Weekly. Came up with a bunch of like little recipes to kind of bake into your camera, and they're kind of film simulations, whatever. And I shoot those a lot, to the extent that people will see some of my photos sometimes and be like, "Damn, I got to start shooting film again." I was like, "Well, that's not film." Which, realistically, if I could shoot film all the time, I would. Not even on some hipster shit. I just enjoy the process. It's not even, I'm not going to be like, dude, film looks better, dude. It's like final. You like the vibrations are more organic. Like, I don't give a shit about that. It's just fun. I enjoy the process. For, I guess, like studio stuff. And then also, I mean, even studio stuff, I shoot that X Pro 3. But when this last trip to Africa that I was just on for Q, I shot only my Nikon D810. And people are going to say, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Sony, he shoots a Nikon. Go fuck yourself. That camera rips. And other than that, I have a couple of film cameras. I have a Leica Deluxe 5. That's like a cop out to get everyone. I posted it the other day, and people are like, damn, dude, Leica, that's tight. I'm like, well, this is not what you think it is. It's basically a Panasonic. But that camera's tight, just a little point and shoot. That's the only thing I shot at SHOT Show, and that's cool. And then just some film cameras. I like medium format stuff, and 35's cool, but medium format's fucking tight.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty sure I know exactly what little Leica you're referencing, because I was kind of looking at it and I was like, oh, that'd be kind of cool. And then somehow it linked itself up to the Panasonic ones. They're kind of like, I think internally they're kind of super similar, but obviously the body and like how they're actually manufactured is that the big difference between those two?
I think so, yeah. Honestly, I think they're basically the same camera. And like you said, just different markings, probably different materials. If you look at the Panasonic ones, they'll have a Leica lens on them. Yeah. So you can get into them for a third of the price of the Leica if you just buy the Panasonic. But I had to have a red dot, and that's all I could afford. So that's what I got.
I still think it's kind of cool. Like, obviously, you get kind of some of that look and appearance and aesthetic of it, you know. And I think Leica does kill it. I mean, as someone, like I said, I think like I said yesterday, like I'm a fucking idiot when it comes to photography, and really Austin and dudes like you are the ones who, and then to Miles as well. I didn't mean to cut Miles. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm sorry, Miles.
Sorry, Miles.
I'll eat some whatever is fucking I almost said fucking ravioli. I was about to say Revolvi. I don't know what the fuck Revolvi is. It's like a sex toy or something.
Well, he's a big ravioli guy. Yeah, for sure. He's a Revolvi guy.
He is a Revolvi guy. Yeah, he sent it to me yesterday, and he was like, something, and then ravioli. And I was like, what if I told you I don't like ravioli? And he was like, damn, bro. And, you know, so
I'm very, very indifferent on the oli for sure. I'll eat it with him, but
I am too. Like, I'd split a can with you, you know. I'd split a can with your boy, but that's about it. That's about extent. The chef, I'll split a can with the chef, you know.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, that's
Actually,
cool.
Miles shoots a Fuji. He's
He
got an
does.
XT4,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um,
So,
and that's a cool little camera, man.
dude, it is. It is. So I will. It's like the minimal inspiration that I have. I went through this phase, and I had I think I had a little Mark II in a little Canon Mark II. Super cool
Oh, yeah.
little APS-C. Was a lot of fun, but I felt like it kind of there was my only reason I sold it was because I was like, I can't find any fucking lens for it. Like there's no
Yeah.
lens, it's just there's just such a limitation in the lens that are out there aren't necessarily the best, and it seems like they're kind of like discontinuing it also, almost. So
Yeah.
I kind of was ready to kind of jump into something else or get into something that actually would direct attach without having an adapter and stuff. And so, man, I was asking like everybody, like several people that took solid pictures and stuff like that, but Austin had always from the beginning was like he really enjoyed. Well, I mean, he talked about how much he loved his Canon R6, and then when I met up with him, saw him, and I was like, God damn, dude, this thing's fucking rad. And of course,
it is cool.
Yeah, and he did some pictures, and I was like, damn, I really want one even more now. And then, but
yeah,
that being said,
Canon rips.
Yeah, but the Fujis, I came so close. It really came down between the R6 and then a XT4, and man, so close. I sometimes I still sometimes will think, man, maybe I should have just got the fucking XT4 just for the sake of fact of like I could have diversed the amount of lens I have with the cost comparison because like the RF lens, dude, why are they so expensive?
Dude, and they're so big and heavy too.
Yeah, they are. They are a little heavy. Which the funny thing is, some of the RF ones are actually lighter and smaller than the EF versions of them previously.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. So I was like reading up on it. Yeah, like the 15 by 35 and I think the 70 by 200 are both like technically lighter and they're actually smaller bodies on the lens compared to like their predecessors of the EF. And so yeah, it's wild because like that's like plays into like buying the tripod and everything like that. Like we were talking about it yesterday, and dude, Jesus Christ, man, fucking tripods, dude. I'm an idiot. So it's like I know what I have now just isn't like capable of. I don't know. I don't even want to say what I have. I don't want to say it. It's not Walmart. Yeah. It's not Best Buy brand. That's all I'll say that. It's like it's neither of
Mine
those. Is it really?
Best Buy brand.
Do you really?
It's a Manfrotto, but it's a Manfrotto, but I got it at Best Buy. Yeah.
Well, I mean that's different though. I mean it's a Manfrotto. That's actually I'm looking at a Manfrotto now, actually, like a 190, because it seems.
I don't even know what mine is, to be honest. It's in my car right now, but the thing is that I don't use. The only time currently that I use a tripod is obviously studio stuff, but then like long exposures at night. When I go out at night, I'll use it, and that's really it. Just the style of shooting that I enjoy doing is just kind of walk around and shoot random shit. But I would like to have a cool, like a big Gitzo or something cool, big columnless or whatever. But at the end of the day, this is something that I've gotten a lot better with as I've gotten older, is everything, and it's the same with guns too. Right. Like people ask questions about, hey, what optic should I get? Well, dude, what are you doing? Like the Fuji is the perfect walk around. It's super light. It's got small lenses. Like I've got a 35 f2 on there that obviously crop sensor. It's a 50 equivalent, but it's so small. It's not intrusive. Like I can point it at people's face and they don't wig out. It's perfect. But then obviously, like, I mean, it's 26 megapixels. It's still more than enough. But but then like, okay, the D810. Like if I'm just going to do a flat lay of something at the shop or whatever, having an extra 10 megapixels is nice or whatever. Like, and even in Africa, it was great. It was durable. It was whatever. I think that I'm such a Fuji dick rider, it hurts, but like for people that are getting into photography, Fuji's tight because most of their cameras, if not all, have basically your exposure triangles on the top. You have your shutter speed dial and ISO dial, and then your apertures on your lens. So even if you're going to shoot auto for the first 6 months that you use your camera, every time you turn your camera on, you have to look at those dials staring at you, begging you to learn how to use them. And it's very intuitive. You can see it all the time. Like, I don't know. I think it's really good for people getting into it. If you look at a Sony Alpha, perhaps, you have to be a fucking rocket surgeon to use the menus. Like, I don't know how to really do anything on them. Oh, hit down for your exposure comp and go into your menu for your. Oh, I want to change the ISO and I have to go to 3 menus to do like pound sand. Dude, just like turn the dial on the top and go for it.
Yeah, that was definitely one thing, because I mean, I've used some other cameras. Like I think I've had a Nikon. I haven't had a Nikon, but I've shot a Nikon. But I've mostly always used Canons, but that was like the biggest thing when I was reading up on the Sony Alphas was like if you come in, if you're coming from other cameras, other bodies and stuff like that, you may be overwhelmed by how like Sony's like menus and setup and UI, and I'm like, man, I don't feel like fucking having to do rocket surgery, plastic surgery, like trying to fucking figure out how to go through and learn the shit that I kind of like halfway already know already. Like, I just don't feel like doing that again. So I definitely agree on that one.
I have, like I told you yesterday, I have a public jihad on Sony, and it's not for any real technical reason. One, I just think it's funny, and two, Sony cameras rip. Their autofocus is insane.
Yeah.
Like their burst modes are crazy. Like everything about they're sick cameras, and they're worth the money. But that being said, everyone out there, probably every single person listening to this, except for Miles and Austin, has a Sony.
Yep.
And everyone gets into guns, and they're like,
Sony.
You know what? I'm gonna take pictures now too. Well, let me go get a Sony A7 III. And they start taking photos, and it looks exactly the same as everybody else's fucking photos. And it's just like uninspiring.
Yeah.
And realistically, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just fun to poke fun at it. But
yeah,
I'll kind of like, I won't say what he shoots, but dude, I think honestly, like my favorite photographer in the world is Autoseer. Like I'm lucky enough to call him my friend. Like I talk to him a lot. I talk to him more than I talk to my parents.
Damn, boy.
But that dude does not shoot Sony. It would surprise you what he shoots. And I mean, there's photos out there of the cameras that he uses, and I'm sure people can go find them. But dude, you don't need the new Sony. You don't need whatever. The big thing that I notice people do now is they'll shoot 24 frames a second, or they'll shoot a video, and the Sony's video is so good that you can pull stills from the video.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not even taking photos anymore. They'll just hit record, and they'll get videos of their friends on the range or whatever, and then they'll pull a still. And it's like, sure, that's convenient, but do you want to be a photographer, or do you want to just like get content?
Yeah.
And I guess that's what it comes down to. Otherwise, Sony, good camera, whatever though. I'm going to shut the factory down.
It's going to be done.
Grow. I just want people to grow up. Just grow up, be a man or a woman, whatever. Do whatever. Just grow up and get something else.
Yeah.
Get a Canon, get a Fuji. Honestly, realistically, everyone should just go get a Leica. But
I agree. Just do what you got to do. Get the money. Sell whatever. Just get the Leica.
Yeah, dude. What's $10,000 for a body?
Fucking.
But that's
real.
That's the other thing. Like you say, $10,000, dude. Fuji has like affordable medium format digital cameras. Insane. Change the game. Go buy a Fuji.
Yeah.
For like $5,000, you can get a digital medium format camera and take photos better than everyone that you see on the internet. Everyone you've ever loved. You'll take better photos than them, and you'll be stoked.
Yeah. Even before this, a part of me was deep down. Like I was saying, the cost for that was the biggest downside. Was like I definitely was really like hyped up on the R6, and maybe I'll end up selling it. Who knows? I don't know. But I knew that if I got anything else, then I'm in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, maybe I should have just got the Canon, and maybe I should have just got the R6 right off the rip, like I kind of initially wanted, because it kind of fit what everyone wanted, and it'll be comfortable getting into it, because like I had some background, even though everything has changed from what I had. But in the back of my mind, though, back of my head, I'm like, I could have gotten into a Fuji and had a nicer selection of lens at a lesser cost than what it's costing me to get into what I want with the Canon.
Yeah.
And a part of me is just like, does like the so-called benefits of what I was thinking I needed, do I really need it though? Or did I just kind of use that as like a method of transport to justify what I was wanting? So I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, deep down, I kind of second guessed it a little bit, thinking maybe I should have just jumped in an XT4, because even like used bodies and like some of the like used lens and stuff like that are out there, and you save some money, dude. It's kind of like pretty killer pricing. Like it's not that it's really easy to get into a really nice, more I want to say professional, but yes, professional camera, body and lens and set, and be pretty diverse in what you can do compared to like, you know, even like a Sony, like getting like the whatever the Alpha 4 and spending 2,600 whatever, and then however much their fucking Sony G Spot lens cost.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the other thing too is like, dude, the X-T4, it has everything you need. It's got in-body stabilization.
Mm-hmm.
It's got, like you said, it's got a huge variety of lenses. You can also adapt lenses, obviously. It doesn't overheat like a Sony does. It does, but obviously not as fast.
Yeah.
The big thing for me is kind of like, it sounds stupid, but support system. So like the people around me at the time were shooting Fuji. So I was like, well, if I get a Fuji, if I don't know how to do something, like the dudes around me can show me or help me. And I think that that's important. Like if you have a bunch of buddies who have Canons, like find a Canon that you think is cool and that you'll enjoy shooting. And then if you get it, like you have people that can, and also being able to borrow lenses from homies and just shit like that, like that, having that support system around it's pretty important too. And I guess at the end of the day, it just comes down to like, what do you want to do with it? Because you can do anything with almost any camera, basically. Like that's a pretty general statement, but modern cameras now, the optics are so great, like the autofocus is so great, battery life is great, everything. Like you can get away with using whatever, but if you want to do studio stuff only, then yeah, get a super high megapixel, like a whatever, get an R6, get a Sony. I'm not encouraging anyone to get a Sony, but I'd rather you shoot photos than not.
Yeah, I agree totally. I mean, like I think that was definitely some of the backbone and reasoning why I did go with the Canon was because a couple of friends I do chat with more frequently, that's what they shop, Canon. So it's kind of more familiarity system. But yeah, but I mean, I think the people who have asked me, which I don't know why they asked me, because I don't know shit as much on cameras and photographies. I never try to portray that I do, but dude, almost everyone who I've chatted with, I've told them like, hey, honestly, really good camera to get into, and it's, you know, not bad price. Again, is the Fuji, like even like the top line. What is their flagship model is the X-T4, right?
Yeah, it's currently the X-T4, and then the more stills focused one is the X Pro 3, and then they have their medium format line. They're coming out with the XH2, which is a more what you would expect out of like a DSLR body. It's not a DSLR, it's mirrorless, but it's that familiar shape. If you jump over from another system, you'll understand the XH2, and that's coming out soon. And it's like Fuji's very good at not veering off the path. Like they understand what their consumer likes and they just do that, which is cool. But yeah, I think anyone that's getting into, honestly, the camera that Miles has, the XE4, is great. It's small. It's like the size of an X100V, which is like everyone who shoots a Sony is like, dude, I love my X. Like they also have a Fuji X100V. Not everybody, but like they're like, dude, I love my Fuji. It's sick. But the X100 series that's got a fixed lens, like there's a couple like teleconverters you can use, I think, to do a wider or tighter lens. But dude, the XE4, I think you can get the body brand new. I think it's like $800 used. You can probably find it for $600. And then you have that entire range of X-mount lenses that are not crazy expensive. Like you can get a good 50 equivalent for like a fast one too. It's f2. Like it's pretty fast, but you could get into that for $400. Or dude, like I just perused KEH and MPB. KEH is like my favorite website ever. They have their rating system is very true. Sometimes actually things are in better shape than they rate them, but dude, I think I got my 35 f2 for like $300 in like whatever excellent condition in the box, all this stuff. So you can find good lenses, and all of their cameras are X mount for the most part. So yeah, if you get that XE4 or whatever, and you're like, like I want to have in-body stabilization. I want to do more video stuff. I want to be able to like articulate the screen and see it this way or whatever. then keep your lenses, just sell the body, and then jump into whatever, an XT3, XT4, or whatever.
Yeah,
It's a good system.
Yeah, and I will even say too, like I remember watching a couple of reviews, and obviously you take every review or any like online thing with a grain of salt too, right? But dude, like almost like one of the big ones was like, video wise, there's a lot of things the Fuji does that's better than the Alpha 3 specifically at the time, because I don't think the new one was out, but it was like, damn, like maybe that is the method. And so like that was like, again, like one of those things where I was like, damn, I was just like really going back and forth on it. And now I don't know. We'll see. I don't like having to spend endless amounts of money. I guess the good pro, especially with the RF lens and the Canon lenses, if I do want to sell it, I can get my money back. Like the resale value on it is so fucking high. Like it's basically the same cost, and sometimes is the same cost as fucking MSRP, which is wild. But the same thing.
You just have to decide what you want to do, I guess, photography wise, and then because I mean, obviously, you have a very good system. Like R6 rips. Austin is a very good example of what that thing is capable of doing.
Yep, totally. He's a little maniac,
but,
a psychopath.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, fuck. But yeah, if you want to walk around and flash people in the face at 2 feet away and have a little street camera or whatever, then Fuji's tight. Like Corey's got an X Pro 3. He traded me a lens for a stock one time. And it's like an expensive ass lens. And he just like hooked it. He's like, does that work for you? I'm like, yeah, dude. Like that works for me. But that dude, everyone I know is a Sony dick rider, dude. Corey, the homies at Fog, everybody.
Yeah. I like you said, it's kind of a joke. And that was actually someone I said to Josh over at Spiritus, and I was like, dude, honestly, the Sony just feels soulless. And like, and maybe it's the fact that I was just trying to be edgy and like, I don't want to, I don't want to have a Sony, because everyone I feel like I talk to or know uses a Sony, and whether they take good pictures is nothing against that. It's just like, I want to be different, Dad. Like I don't know.
It's super hipster.
Yeah.
Whatever. Who cares?
Yeah. But I just was like, damn. Like I was seeing people who were using a Canon, and I was like, oh damn. Like this is just very much as capable. But I guess bang for buck and stuff like that too. But anyways, though, that's cool.
I mean, I think like the cliche Claire side of me is like, I'm so into art and people making art, and so it's fucked too, because I'll see someone. I've like brainwashed myself into this fake rivalry with Sony that I'll see someone shoot Sony and I go, "Oh, dude, their work's probably lame," which is so fucked up because they're probably the best, one of the best photographers in the space or whatever. Yeah. But I don't know. So I should probably like figure that out within myself. But I just am very stoked on the art and the creativity, and like Sonys are capable of so much, and people just underuse them. They just take a super high contrasty photo of their Noveski and Faro Concepts plate carrier on some concrete, and that's it. They'll post it, and they're stoked on it, and that's cool. I just want to see more. Like, you're capable of more. Your camera's certainly capable of more. So go do that.
Yeah, dude. I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that. I think this holding people to a higher expectation and higher regard of how they should hold themselves. So, dude, that's fucking hilarious. So, that being said, speaking of like photography in general, what's like one of your what is like a picture recently that you've taken that you like really like? Like what's the most recent, like really one that you're proud of, just in general?
Ooh.
Doesn't have to be something you posted. You can even just describe what it was, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Well, honestly, like a lot of stuff that I took in Africa that I haven't posted yet. Mm-hmm. It was cool because my Nikon is a new camera to me, that D810. It's not a new camera, but it's a new camera to me. And I'm so used to shooting my Fuji or whatever, and I just kind of wanted to try some stuff and shot that Nikon. So, and a lot of those cameras came out, or I'm sorry, a lot of those photos came out better than I expected. And so a lot of those are really, I'm happy about those. Most recently, other than that, like there's some, just doing new things. Like there's a small series on it's like a 3-shot series on my Instagram of it's black and white and shooting flash during the day, and just like street photography, flashing people real close. That was like a new thing. It was like the first day that I had done it. So then I got photos that I liked. And then also there's a photo that I posted on April 16th that is a it says low price furniture on it, but it's a night shot, and it's just like this blown out building, and there's a moon right above it, obviously, and it's just a long exposure, and that was like my first like long exposure that I liked.
Mhm.
So I was just stoked on that. But it goes through that's for recent stuff. My favorite photo I've ever taken. You kind of have to go a ways back on my Instagram, but it is a it's not a Crown Vic, it's a whatever Mercury or some shit. Um, it's nosed into like a bush with some pallets, and it's got a flat tire, and there's nothing spectacular about it. Um, but it is. I'm actually going to send it to you on Instagram.
Oh, I'm already on it, bro. I'm already got it. June 13th,
Oh my
2021,
man,
boy.
yeah. That you've got a flatmate. Dude, that's just like my. I don't know why. There's nothing spectacular about it. The colors aren't anything crazy or whatever. It's just for whatever reason, like that one and the one from October 17th, the Piano Man one. Those are my two favorite that I've ever taken. Actually, now I'm looking through my Instagram. I'm like, fuck, no, I actually like this one. And there's so many. I just get stoked. Like, but you can see, like, if you look through, um, like, there's that alleyway in the snow. There's nothing in there that's super incredible. There's nothing that stands out. No crazy subject. But to me, I took it and I was like, oh, this is kind of like an Edward Hopper painting. I'll post that. Or January 9th, I posted. There's a house like the chimney and the snow or whatever, and I just said Sunny Day Real Estate. Shout out Sunny Day Real Estate. OG emo band. But like as you see, there's nothing extraordinary or crazy subjects in my photos. It's just I don't know. I like seeing the ordinary and exposing people to it. It's stuff that they pass by a million times, and if them seeing like, especially people in this area, there's some certain things that like, whether it be buildings or cars or whatever, that I know that people in this area that I'm in have seen before, and if they see the photo and they go, "Oh, that's pretty cool. I know where that's at," and then the next time they go by it, they stop and take a look at it. That's like to me, I'm like, dude, I just did it. Like I changed their life, which is the most not true thing ever.
Yeah.
But it made them stop and go, "Oh, remember that kid took a fucking cool photo of that? That's cool."
I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing though, because it will give someone a different look or aspect on something that they see every day. And then, like you said, that very well could change their life. I mean, technically you are changing their life, maybe not like in like a thought process, but they're gonna look or visualize something or see something. They're gonna think of differently for the rest of their life about it. Like that's how I think, though. That's how I generally am whenever I see something or something is like momentous or specific. Then I'm just like, oh yeah, oh yeah. Every time I pass by it, or it can be anything in general. So, but yeah, that is cool though. I'm kind of like in the same thing, and I find myself. I think I found myself a couple times where like I'll do something or edit something, and I'm like, oh, I like this, and then I think about it, I'm like, no one is going to like this, so I won't post it, but I'll keep it though. I always end up keeping stuff like that, but it's always kind of funny.
I did that for a long time.
Yeah,
and then I just decided one day I was like, well, who gives a shit? Like I like it. Like what else am I going to put on my Instagram? Shit that I don't care about. Like I like it, and if someone else likes it, then if one person likes the photo other than me, then like. You did it. You made something cool and you made art. And if it resonates with somebody else, think about how fucking cool that is. Like if you do something because you enjoy it or like it's cool to you and it happens to resonate with another person, that's like powerful. Without sounding like lame and cliche, that's like a pretty heavy thing.
Yeah.
So it's cool. I don't know.
Do you find yourself...
And like...
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
No, you, bro.
No, you, dude.
No, you, bro.
I don't even know what I was going to say. So, do I find myself...
Well, now you got me fucked up because I was trying to remember what you were saying. But I was just... All I was going to add was, do you find that you get into a style or something like that you like? Like, do you try to resonate or stay within some kind of, like, spectrum of like, styling? Or do you just feel like, okay, if this looks cool in this picture, then this is how I'm going to do this?
I think more of the latter, but I definitely... draw from my favorite photographers. Like, I guess kind of the impetus behind taking the photos that I take. Like William Eggleston is my favorite photographer, I would say. And he grew up in, I don't even know. Let me look. I forget. I always want to say Nashville, but it's not Nashville. It's like Missouri or some random shit. Um, but he is known for um, shooting very similarly, like very ordinary, mundane things.
Hmm.
Um, Memphis, that's where he's from. Memphis, Tennessee. I was close. Nashville's close. Um, but I guess he basically, from what I understand, there was a period of his time where he was talking to people and saying like, "Man, I don't have anything to shoot. Like, my area is not very cool. Like, I don't live in the city. I have nothing to shoot." And people are like, "There's plenty around to shoot. Like, just go shoot what's in your area." And that's exactly what he did. He would shoot whether it's there's a very famous photo that he took of a drink on an airplane. He's sitting next to someone. They have an airplane. They have their tray down. They've got this little drink on their tray, and he's shooting out the window, and like that's super tight. A lot of stuff inside of restaurants where he's at in Memphis, just cars. I mean, he documented the city of Memphis for decades. Um, and so I go because I mean, I'm from Maine. I live on the Maine New Hampshire border, so Boston's close to us, like it's an hour away. But otherwise, I grew up in a small town um, in Maine called Agunquit. It's like a tourist town, but it's 4 square miles, 1,000 year-round residents, and it's on the beach. But I don't have, dude. I watch guys walk around New York, and it blows my mind. Like they have so much shit to shoot. For me, I feel kind of like Eggleston did, and it was just like I don't have all that. So I guess kind of by circumstance, I had to shoot the things that I shoot,
Hmm.
and also, like I said, like I'll look at his books or Josh Edgoose, he's a current photographer. His Instagram is Spicy Meatball. He lives in London, so he's got a little more to shoot than me, but the shit that he shoots is very ordinary and whatever. So I'll kind of get in that mindset of like, okay, these dudes are doing it. It's kind of like I would compare it to like a skater, like a skateboarder that's driving around looking for spots.
Yeah, yeah.
Like skateboarders, when you go anywhere with them, they're constantly looking around and they see spots that other people wouldn't see, and they go, "Oh, I can skate that." I think it's similar. I drive around and look for things that I've seen a million times, but I try to look at it differently, and I try to like think of the composition in my head, think of either the film stock I'm going to use or like whatever settings, and try to look at the world in that way, which is super cliche, but it gets you in that headspace, and then you just figure it out. And like, I have a problem where I undershoot. That's another thing. A lot of people overshoot, or not overshoot, but they just shoot shit. Like they'll go out for 2 hours and shoot 200 photos. A lot of them are using their electronic shutter on their Sony and blasting through photos, whatever. But I undershoot. I may go out and only shoot 20 photos in a day, but I come back and I have whatever 11 of them that I like, or five, or all 20. I don't know. Um, but yeah, I don't necessarily go for a specific style, more so like a headspace and just kind of
Yeah.
what I have available. Um, that's the easiest way to describe it. Like I
Yeah,
don't
no.
have a big city, whatever.
I think that's a good way to look at it, though. I think that's I'm trying to think what's the right word, but I think that's the correct way of looking at it, though, because I don't think you should limit yourself to one styling, because not everything will work in whatever styling, and then maybe something that you do want to take a picture of, you can't because it doesn't maybe fit that mantra, unless you, I guess, force a triangle through a circle peg, I guess. But I mean, I don't know,
Right? Yeah.
but
Well,
still, yeah,
it's funny though because at Q, I shoot entirely different than I would ever go choose to shoot. So like I think it's important to be able to like even if so like for me, I go look at whatever gun photographers. I go look at the Otto Sears. I go look at the Labrizis. I go look at Austin and Miles, and I I have to draw inspiration from them to shoot like a product photo of a gun because that's not what my mind naturally goes to. So when I
hmm
see those dudes using light differently or whatever, it definitely gets me in the ability to or the headspace to be like, okay, I'm gonna shoot this gun, but I'm gonna make it look cooler. Like, oh, I saw that thing that Kyle did the other day. Um, and maybe I'm gonna try something like that. I'll do it differently, but I'm gonna try that. And then I do it. I'm like, it fucking sucks. I'm not good at it. But at least it gets me to do other things because I would not shoot that way ordinarily. But I think it's cool because I can pull things from that. Like using Flash so much at work made me want to use Flash doing documentary photography or street photography or whatever, at least trying it. And so I think it's cool to be able to have the two different things and pull from each one.
I think that's how you should. That's how you should look at stuff like that, because that's how you improve yourself as well. I mean, you should always not, of course, like hone in on one person and then just stay with that sect, like it's this way or the highway. And I found myself where I've tried doing that, like, okay, I want to do this type of styling as much as possible, and then I kind of maybe find that, okay, maybe either A, it's boring or it gets old, or maybe it's just like you kind of lose again. I think it kind of resonates back to like the whole thing with like a formal education stuff, and it's like you kind of just put yourself in a valley and stuff. So I think you should always try to. I mean, I do the same thing. Like I will peruse and go through stuff and see what my friends have done. It doesn't even have to be product or gun pictures. I'm like, damn, that's really cool. I wonder how I can integrate something like that, or like insert that into something I'm doing now where I need to do. But that's really cool. What speaking of, we even talked about what's the name of your new so obviously you're transitioning and stuff. Have you started a business? Like have you got everything set up and running? Like what's the name of it?
Not really. Like I have a website. There's an Instagram for it, but there's nothing on the Instagram. But I have a website called thepineovercoat.com, which I just was like, I just need something that doesn't mean anything. And I guess a pine overcoat technically is a casket or a coffin or whatever. But yeah, so thepineovercoat.com, it's just kind of like it's very reminiscent of my Instagram. It's sort of a portfolio, and then there's an option to purchase prints on there. And as it stands right now, it's just a place for me to do that, like to have if I want to sell, like if I'm stoked on a photo and I want to sell a print, it puts some sort of name to it as opposed to just like, oh, I bought Dat Boy JP's fucking whatever photo. So I have that. I think honestly, eventually, like we talked about it earlier, but like I have this desire to down the line maybe turn that into more of a publishing type company. I'm super into the idea of doing photo zines and photo books. And I think, like I said, I think you're going to start seeing more and more people do that.
Yeah.
And maybe I can help them out and do that and give them a place to do it through or whatever and work with them. But so maybe down the line, that's what it'll be. But as of right now, I just, like, as far as doing work with people or whatever, I should probably make some sort of website or business card or something. But a lot of it is just word of mouth, and then through my Instagram, just through @DatBoyJP, DATBOIJAYP.
Yeah, boy. Hey, 1 second. All right.
Yeah.
I need to use the restroom real quick. I'm gonna pause real quick, and they'll come back, and we'll start kind of winding it down a little bit, and then we can go over any other cool things that you're doing and working on outside of that.
For sure.
And I'll make sure all that's tech.
Yeah.
I gotta
for sure.
go
I'm
fucking
gonna cough a bunch while you go do that.
All right, dude. 1 second. That's the difference between a good podcast and a bad one is, those who are dedicated, just, they just work through it. They just fucking piss their pants right there on the spot.
Exactly. I've peed twice since we've said that.
Bro.
I just didn't want to call attention to it.
Yeah. I thought I heard something, but I wasn't sure. I just figured it was like a cat purring or something. But I was
Every time I've coughed, it's been
a little,
when you hear
like
the pee drip.
Like a little tip. Yeah. Oh, dude, that's fucking hilarious. So I'll ask this out of just with like photography in general, and then we'll move on to something else. I don't want to burn out in photography, but
no worries.
With what would you say is like the biggest mistake in pictures in general? Like I have an idea myself, but I'm curious. Or what do you think?
I guess on a technical level, probably just composition. I think the biggest mistake in the idea of getting into photography, though, is just like not being self-aware and thinking that the best equipment will carry you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there are a lot of people, even in my area, that they'll just decide, oh, taking photos isn't hard. Like, I'm going to be a photographer. They just decide I'm going to be a photographer. So they'll go buy an A7 III, as we talked about, and they'll take a couple photos inside their house, and then they'll be like, I want to do weddings. So they'll Google how much do wedding photographers make, and then they'll start hitting people up on Instagram and be like, hey, I'm doing wedding photos now for $1,200 or whatever. Book me. And it's just, I think it's a thing about being self-aware. Like, I'm looking at your photos, and it's hard because I have this stance of like, just because something's not my cup of tea doesn't necessarily mean that it's objectively bad, but there are things that are objectively bad.
Yeah.
And I think to wrap around back to the root of the question, I think technically composition and I guess lighting, but mostly composition is probably the toughest or the easiest for people to fuck up.
Yeah. On my side, I was going to say on the editing portion, because that's definitely something that I struggle with. Because
that's a good
yeah, like I'm super OCD. Thing. I think people over edit, and I'm one of those people who puts too much time into trying to thinking that everything needs to be changed or tweaked in a photo. Like, okay, it can't just be zero. Like, starting off like in Lightroom or something like that. It's like, okay, blah 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 blah, 0 shadow, black, whatever, exposure. It can't be zero. It has to be changed. Like, I need to tweak it. I need to change it or alter something.
Yeah.
And I found myself doing that. Yeah, that would be I guess that's what I think, because I struggle with the most. So I just assume. Well, I know everyone else struggles. I'm just kidding. I'm gonna
change my answer to yours just because I like yours more, and it's something that I never think about. I never think about post processing, only because I'm so used to seeing people put the same color profile on their photos and then just post them. But I agree. They're like, I know people that hate editing, so they will do as much as they can in camera and then just maybe crop it and kind of align it.
Leave as.
I enjoy editing, but not a whole lot. Like, I enjoy like split toning. I think that's really fun. Kind of like putting color and shadow and stuff like that. But as a whole, I would rather just like, especially with like film shots that I take, I won't edit. I'll crop them, but I won't edit them, and not for any purist reason or whatever. But I generally, as long as I expose them properly, they come out cool. They come out the way that I saw them, and that's good enough for me. But yeah, I like yours. I'm going to change my answer to editing, because you're right. People over edit a lot.
Yeah, and I just think that's just one of those things where you have to kind of get in the flow, and then it kind of like streams back to like maybe having someone who's inspired by someone and then trying to fit that color or that pattern the same, et cetera, et cetera. And so they just over edit it, not knowing how to tweak it and adjust. And like, that's something that I hate doing it. But dude, I fucking will pester the shit out of Austin all the time. I'm like, Austin, like, so on this, like, what do you think is a way I could improve this? Like, what do you think there's too much of this or that? And then like, well, he'll kind of go back and forth, and I'll try to minimize the amount of messages, in all honesty. So
yeah, but that's how you learn, and that's good that you have that way to do that. I think a lot of people, they want to know how to edit, and they want to edit their photos, and they don't want to go overboard. But what I think a lot of people get, especially kind of those people that I talked about before, where it's like, they'll go, I'm going to be a photographer now. They'll get the camera, whatever camera. I'm going to say it's a Sony because I don't like these people. And they will buy a preset pack or something that they saw, and they'll just throw a preset. They'll throw a preset on the entire batch, and then they won't adjust anything because they don't know how yet.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a big mistake that people make. Like, if you're going to do any sort of post-processing, look through everything that you can. Like, try to do everything. Some things don't need to be edited, but if you're going to throw a preset on something, at least be willing to then go through and adjust your levels on other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I was going to say too. Like, I've never understood presets exactly, because sometimes obviously you want to adjust or tweak like background and then actual subject or whatever whatever subject matter it is. So it's like, I mean, doesn't the preset just in that sense just put a blanket over whatever you're doing? And it's just like, I don't know, sometimes the blanket doesn't always fit whatever the material and the actual picture itself. But
yeah, I feel that way. because I don't own anyone's preset packs or anything. I
Same.
generally don't use presets just because I think generally presets fall into that over edited territory. But I definitely understand people using them as a good starting point.
Yeah.
So, and these dudes that are doing, like, if you have guys that are editing 3,000 photos for a company, it's a good starting point to throw a preset. You shot them all the same day, same light, whatever. Throw a preset on and then kind of go through individually and decide, like, okay, that's fine. Oh, I need to tweak that or whatever. So I get the convenience of it. I don't shoot enough to want a preset. I don't think, like, I have that undershooting problem that I talked about before, where I'll just shoot a few photos and it doesn't take me a lot of time to go through each one and edit them.
Yeah, that's kind of something that I've worked on myself, is like not trying to just take a millions and like how fast can this motherfucker go? You know, I did that on my last camera. I was like, I'm just gonna take a million, because I don't know, like I feel like I remember hearing something, or was listening to like conversation or a podcast, and they were discussing it, and like, yeah, I'll have like so many amount of pictures, and then like only 2 of them will be good. And I thought, okay, well that's like a standard. Like you just take a lot of pictures, and then you go through and you find the one that actually was like, I don't know, correct, fixed, whatever, blah blah blah. And so like I had that mindset, and then like same thing. I'd be like, damn, I don't fucking feel like going through like all these fucking pictures. Like this is like just fucking, I am like exhausted. Like then you kind of like lose that creative ability anyways. Like even if you're gonna do like post processing and stuff, but whatever.
That's why I think film's kind of a good place to start too, because you have to be. I mean, film's expensive, so you have to be very selective on what you shoot, and I think it gets people to slow down and understand, like, do I really want to shoot this? Or like, is this, I need to focus on my composition. Like, you have to think about every detail, and I think that's important. It's nice to be able to shoot 24 frames a second for 300 photos, but blah, blah, do you need to do it?
Yeah. I mean, obviously it has its role and stuff like that for people who actually need that, or, you know, require that type. But I guess for people who are just like doing one simple subject matter, again, you don't need it, you know, or like don't think you need to have it. But yeah, agreed.
Do you have any? I'm the interviewer now. Do you have any? Are there any like photographers outside of, I guess, your immediate circle that you're like, fuck, I need to learn how to do that?
Ooh, damn, dude, fucking call me out. Nothing specifically, honestly. I will say that it's like growing up. One thing I was always extremely like just. That I don't know, like I remember growing up and wanting to be like a marine biologist, and I don't think I wanted to be a marine biologist so much as be in and around, so more of like almost in the videography, photography portion of it. Like you go through like the old school Discovery shows and the old school like Nat Geo like magazines and stuff that actually had like subject matter and actual like good content and stuff, and you would see them and you'd see these fantastic pictures and these really cool, just like mesmerizing photos that would like entrance you, like especially like in water and stuff. So I would say that's kind of the reason why I kind of like blue coloring and like kind of lighter gray color. Probably not. It's probably full of shit, honestly. I'm just kind of like just winging it off that.
No, that's cool.
But
do you have any like favorite photographers that you think of when you're asked that question? Like, is there someone out there right now, and I'm going to say outside of your, I mean, you can shout out who's inside the circle too, but is there anyone that you're like, fuck, everything they put out, I'm super into?
You know, man, there's honestly like sometimes it's like a blender of stuff, and so like I'll see something and I'll like it, and I'll either follow or keep track with it, or I'll have it on my, because I have like 2 primary Instagrams, and like my other one I'll definitely keep track of all that stuff, you know, in general. But I mean, I'll say I'll stick with Inner Circle for now, because I'll have to go back and actually have names and stuff like that I'll follow. But damn, dude, damn, bro, you fucking call me out like that? Shit, I'm on my own fucking podcast.
Yeah, I'm a professional, dude.
I know. But honestly, like Labrazy, I remember finding him a long time ago. Had no idea who he was or what he did. And I was always thought he would just take really cool pictures. Some of the dudes over at FDE Group, they also do some really cool pictures as well.
Agreed, yeah.
And then when I came across Austin, I mean, dude, I followed Austin a long time ago, and not really knowing much about what he did, or, you know, et cetera, et cetera. We would just like bullshit back and forth, and he would, or like send memes and stuff. But I always liked his pictures. And then now that he's freelancing as well, I feel like he's done some pretty great stuff. I mean, like I remember seeing him in person doing like editing, and like my jaw dropped. And like, dude, I felt like a fucking stalker or like a fucking like creeper, but like I'd just be standing there like just watching him edit and like not like right next to him, like breathing on his back, like I don't,
Right, yeah.
and it wasn't even my stuff. I would just watch him like go through the process of editing and being amazed by like his workflow and like, you know, just how detail oriented it is, but also just watching him and then seeing his finished products, you know, just or have always been solid. I'm trying to hold on. Mem projects, I think. Is it MEM
Yep.
or I've always called
I
it
don't know.
MEM. But,
Yeah, I've said mem too, but
yeah.
I heard old Il Pro say MEM, but
Yeah.
he's illiterate, so who knows?
Exactly. But I've always
Illiterate
liked
provision.
Yeah. I've always thought that the stuff that he does has always been really solid and kind of fits in that same realm of not always having to be in a subject matter or like something specific. It can be just like,
Yeah.
I'll never forget him riding a bike, and it had like a basket in the front, and he's just riding it through like it looked, I think it was a trail. I don't know if he took it down or not, but I remember him doing that, and just I was like, damn, that's a cool picture. Like I don't know why.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything specific. It had nothing to do with firearms or anything like that or guns, whatever. But I was like, damn, that's a really cool picture. I don't know why, but I just really enjoy it. But dude, man, I don't know.
Yeah.
I will be the first to admit I don't spend enough time. Oh yeah,
the name that needs to go out, dude.
yeah. And I mean, obviously, like it almost seems kind of like I don't even not in a bad way. I almost don't want to say auto sear just because like it's almost like automatic. Like he just does some stuff that's just it's just phenomenal, and like he's been doing it phenomenally for such a long time, and he does such a great job. So I will definitely add auto sear in the mix because I think the number one thing that I've always liked about his stuff is his color palettes. For a while he was doing like really cool neon colors, like bright colors and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, dude, I think I don't know why. I don't even know. I can't believe I didn't say one of his names first because he was one of the first people I remember seeing like that would do a good color backdrop on a photo of a gun and stuff like that, but not being like a white backdrop though, right? So he'd be doing like a soft pink or like a yellow or orange, and I always thought that was cool of like adding like a neon color aspect to it. So yeah,
I mean it's crazy. You've seen like him do all these things, and now everywhere. And granted, he's not the first person to do a flat lay. He's not the first person to put, you know, some gels on his lights or whatever. But the way that he does it, I think, at least in this space, has been so influential to people.
100%.
And it's cool. I wish more people were able to see it, but like I'm in a cool enough space that I've seen his work outside of guns as well. Mm-hmm. And dude, I wish more people had seen it because like, dude, that dude was a pro before he ever got into guns. So like, that dude has shot celebrities, he shot all sorts of crazy shit, and you want to just talk about a technically sound wizard? It's that dude.
Yeah, and like, dude, I totally agree. Like, I can't believe I didn't say one of his names first. I guess I was just trying to think of like dudes I chat.
I'm really upset. I'm really upset that you didn't.
Please, bro, don't tell nobody, bro. Please.
I'm gonna tell Auto Sear, dude.
Please, man, please don't do that, man. But yeah, no, I totally agree. I think I just now you see it all the time. You'll see like the backdrops and dudes adding like a little drop shadow and then like having like a brighter color and stuff. You see it all the time, or neon, you know, colorways, especially in that. But yeah, dude, I think one of the ones that I remember specifically that I saw, and then I saw a bunch of other people start doing it, and I thought, it was like, to my mind, I was like, okay, I think I know how he did it, but I don't want to do it because like it'd be so obvious. Is when he did like the smear photo. Yeah. So it was like a drop, and then like, you know, you see it like it was like a waterfall effect, you know, the waterfall effect of where it's just dragged down. And I was like, I remember seeing it, and I was like, damn, that's really cool, man. Like that's a really cool way of doing it, and like having all those colors blended from the actual subject and moved into it. And then like no shit, like maybe like 3 days later, I would see some shitty versions of that done by other people, or just in general. And then, you know, you saw a couple other people who would do it. But yeah, where he brought the gun up, and you know, it would have like the smear of it. I'm not sure what the actual technical term.
Yeah, it's like a trail. I honestly don't know either, but that dude does for sure. And that's the kind of the gray area too. The weird spaces. It's like, people clearly were inspired by it, so like for sure you want them to do it, but also I don't know, it's hard. Like it would be, I don't know, I've seen dudes do things like Matt Lingo did he did like a series where,
can't believe I didn't say Matt Lingo.
Oh damn it. Well,
fuck,
Matt Lingo doesn't take photos anymore.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But he did this series and he explained like each photo that or I think it was a 3D render or whatever, but he explained who inspired it, and like he's like, yeah, I'm trying to do these styles. So like that's cool. Like paying homage to someone is cool. And I'm not trying to gatekeep. I don't think, because it's fucked up. Like you see a dude do something doesn't mean you can't do it, but try to do it your way. I guess I don't know.
Put your own twist on it. No, I think that's important to do that. I think it's important to have that outlook. I think that also kind of changes the mantra of how you want to do it, because obviously just copy paste stuff, like that's what you don't want to do. But you can have inspiration of something that someone does and you're like, damn, I really like that. What can I do to put my own twist? Like that's like the same thing with like art and design and stuff like that. Because I mean, let's be honest here. A lot of people have done something like that before, or it's not like you've done anything important or vital that no one else has done. Maybe not. Maybe I'm completely off on that. But a lot of stuff now, if you just are focused on, a styling or look, and you find something that does inspire you, then adding your own little twist, I think is paramount, to whatever you're doing. So that changes.
Agreed.
I think that definitely changes the direction of whether you're just doing something just to copy or low effort, minimal efforts type stuff to someone who is wanting to really put time and effort into whatever it is. Like that's the big difference maker. Like obviously you can do something the same, but adding what thing or flavor you want to it is the difference between those two.
For sure.
But yeah. So anyways, though.
Sorry, I had to hit you with the question.
Yeah, dude. But yeah, I mean, Austin Miles does some. I would say Miles originally I thought was always really cool. I remember.
Yeah, he kind of brought a different style to Spiritus Systems.
Yeah, I totally agree. He was kind of one of the primary drivers to me to Spiritus Systems, because I always liked the look and styling of it. On his old account too. So. And then he has his new account, but I remember chatting and talking with him. Skate Kunar, I think, was his old account that he had.
Yeah.
And I always thought that the stuff that he took over there, I wanted to make sure that I kept him in there. But I always thought the stuff that he did was always super cool. Like I just always thought like, oh damn, that's funny. Or like, it almost just had like a weird, like it definitely, like a lot of his stuff I felt like had a lot of Gen Z feel to it. Like some of it, not all of it, but some of it. And I always thought like, it's cool. Resonate. But very cool though.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyways, though, so outside of photography, we won't go into it. We'll start kind of wrapping it up. But like, what's other stuff that you enjoy doing, man? Like, outside of work, obviously outside of guns, just omit that entirely. But what's something else you enjoy doing?
Yeah. So I'm art in general. Any sort of art in general, I'm super into. Like I said, I play music. I've played bass since I was fucking little. So, I'm super into art in really any facet. And then I'm into motorcycles as well, old motorcycles. Kind of the standard shit that everybody's into right now, like bikes, photos, music, and fucking whatever. That's one thing that a lot of people don't know is like I don't drink or do drugs or anything. Like I don't claim straight edge, but I basically am straight edge. So I don't go drink or party or anything. So I just have to fill my days with doing other dumb shit. So I like hockey a lot. I haven't played in a bit, but yeah, motorcycles are tight. And like I said, art, I play music a lot, and I'm always looking for, new photo books or like a new museum to check out, that kind of thing. So I'm just cruising. Cool. I don't do anything too crazy.
Just chilling, big bullin'.
Yeah.
So what's your band's name, dude?
We're called Hours North.
Hours North.
Yeah, like an hour's north of here. But yeah, I don't know. 2018, 19, we were cruising, and obviously COVID fucked everything up. So
yeah,
we kind of took a little hiatus, but we're on everything. We're on Spotify and YouTube and Apple Music and all that, shit. So people can compete.
Yeah,
yeah, that's really it.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm kind of boring, dude. I'm an old man.
Fuck, bro. How old are you?
I'm 27.
Oh, shut the fuck up, bro. But yeah, dude, I feel that though, because like obviously you spend so much time in craft when you're focusing on something. It kind of has like an outlet of where you dedicate your energy to, because I think that's important too. It's like how you dedicate your energy and like how you expand. So obviously you have to dedicate time to stuff that you enjoy doing, obviously, to improve, whether it's on work time or not. So,
Right.
That's really cool. What's so about the band? So Our North, are you guys a Christian band, bro?
No,
I'm just
fuck
fucking with
no.
you. I'm just fucking with
Well, like basically, so all of us were in different bands together.
you. Mhm.
Like everyone in the band we had all played music together in other bands.
Gotcha.
And most of us grew up playing like hardcore, beatdown, and heavy music. So then we got this band together and we play like girly, acoustic, electric, alternative rock. I guess I don't know, some folky.
Yeah.
I don't know, complete opposite of heavy music.
Dude, no,
So
I mean,
it's kind of weird how it all came out.
I mean, like that's a big aspect too. Is I was about to accidentally play it. I pulled it up, but I mean, I think that's a big aspect too. Is not funneling yourself into one type of music too, because when you kind of like get, again, I think I'm not going to repeat the same thing I've been saying like 5 times now, but same thing as earlier when you just kind of put yourself in a valley of music and don't look outside of it or enjoy other aspects of it. You kind of like just gets kind of fucking boring. I couldn't imagine doing that, but
Yeah,
that's really
and
cool.
we all have different tastes in music too. Like getting any of us to agree on anything is pretty hard, just because we all listen to. Dude, like my favorite artist ever is Prince.
Yeah,
and like I grew up going to beatdown shows and doing all that. So like I don't know. I listen to, it's the cliche. I listen to everything. I don't listen to everything. Like I listen to a very wide selection of music. I don't fuck with country at all. Like refuse to listen to it.
Even like folky, like non-mainstream country, or is it just like literally anything that has like a twang?
If it reminds me of the South, dude, I start getting angry. So
oh damn!
I'm over it, dude. But yeah, no, I just don't do country. And like, I mean, the closest thing to country that I can think of is like Kurt Vile, and he's not even close to country. He's like it's like a modern Bob Dylan. So yeah, no country. I like super ignorant rap. Like if I'm just trying to hang out, I just posted like a Guapdad 4000 clip on my story yesterday. Like I like super ignorant stuff. I like a lot of, whatever. I fucking hate jock rock.
Jock rock? What's jock rock? What
is, like do like 5 Finger Death Punch.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me just say this real quick.
All right. Yeah.
I fucking hate jock rock too. I didn't know what it was technically labeled or like the actual name or funny. I mean, like, I think the only reason I even listened to it growing up was because at the time, like, all you had was like the radio, and that's all that would fucking play. And maybe that's why I hate it so much. But I cannot fucking stand it. I hate anything in that realm, that styling, and it can be from whatever genre to this genre. But if it's in that rock sector, like you just said, 100%, I can't stand it. I hate it. I just don't.
I think it's synonymous with like the guys in this gun community that I don't like. They're like not even necessarily fun, but just like Hardo, fucking Springfield XD, 5 Finger Death Punch sticker, like fucking racist, just bullshit. Like, dude, like those dudes suck, dude. Like Hardo, whatever, they fucking suck. That's another thing, dude. Cool, like, I want everyone to do their own thing, and like. It's funny because I think people assume I'm like super far left or whatever because I'm like the fucking long-haired hippie at Q. Not the case, but dude, there's some shit that I just like. We talked about the blind loyalty or whatever, but like some shit is just whack. Like, dude, I'll go on air and say like Lucas from T-Rex Arms can shoot his ass off. Dude's corny. Dude's anti-porn. And doesn't want gay people to get married, which, like, whatever your feelings are, do your thing. Porn's tight, dude. So don't commit porn.
So
he's canceled.
he's done. It's over, bro.
Yeah.
Sony, Bakken.
Yeah,
it's done.
Yeah,
it's done.
And I mean, he's probably a normal ass dude, but I back Real MG42 / Real Stoner 63.
Yeah,
and. If he doesn't like him, I don't like him, dude.
Yeah. So like I'm in a similar aspect of certain things that I think just kind of doesn't matter what good things they do. If it's in this specific realm or like there's something that you just will not budge on, it's just like I'm with you. Like there's some aspects, especially like I've always said this, especially like I guess in like voting and political aspect of things that people will not move or budge on and will die on that hill. And it's just like, why do you care so much about what other people like or prefer? And it's like,
Yeah.
just who the fuck cares? If as long as it doesn't affect you directly or bother you or like, you know, conflict with your personal, you know, things in your house and your life and your property, then bro, who cares? Like, I'm just like, whatever, just shrug my hand and move
Agreed.
on. So
And if you have a big platform, like, dude, you don't need to, like, sure, you're entitled to your personal beliefs, whatever,
sure.
but you have to be aware enough to understand, like, there are people that follow you that don't believe the same way as you. So, like, let them do
Absolutely.
that. Let them believe other shit.
Yeah, that's
Like,
right.
don't push it and be like, you need to feel this way.
Yeah, and I think that's important too because again, kind of like loops back around to being your own person as
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
and you know,
yeah.
and then it's important, but that is definitely something that drives me fucking crazy is people's blind loyalty to certain people and like in that aspect of what they say is law, like that shit drives me
Right.
crazy, and I will I'm with you on that one, like with Lucas, like he's done some cool stuff, you know, or when I
Absolutely.
say cool stuff, you know, like maybe bring normalcy to some stuff, or maybe the training
Yep.
aspect, or outlook on firearms in general. But then there's just things you do that's just like same thing. It's just like, man, you kind of just made yourself a shithead. Like it kind of cancels everything else out. So
Right.
it's yeah, I agree. It's just like, dude, like if you would just do everything else but that, I'm cool with you.
Yeah.
You know, if
Yeah.
you would just stop
Hell
being
yeah, dude.
fucking lame, then I'm cool with you. But I don't know.
Yeah.
It is such a
Agree.
weird sect because he kind of reminds me of someone that I kind of like had to run into a couple times, like in college, and dude, that just would fucking infuriate me. Like he just gets
Kick his
under my
ass, dude.
skin. Yeah, I know. Fucking kick his ass. Was it a Seabass? Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
but yeah, man, it's weird, and I guess the only thing that just kills it for me is when people are just like, I don't know, like they can't get around that concept of that mentality of somebody or something, and it's just like I can't drive with that, dude. Like I don't know, it's like maybe it's a bad thing. It's like as soon as I hear something or like something that they won't just budge on or something that I think is just super ignorant about, like in general, it's just like yeah, I mean, doesn't really matter what you do now. It's just like kind of cancels it all out, my boy. So I don't know. I'm with you on that. Same thing. Political identity. Wise, I don't ever really talk about politics because it's just not
No.
worth it and it's exhausting.
Who
And
gives a fuck? Yeah.
exactly, I mean, like the whole thing, like left, right. They don't. They all. There's a reason why the same guys are always in the same positions, I guess. But it's just like
Yeah. No shit.
if you think one of them's out to save you, then you're kind of you're incredibly ignorant. You know, it's like
Yeah. You
dude,
missed the
man.
boat.
Yeah, bro. It's like that time of period is over. We're past that, and so it's just I don't know. It's just mind blowing that dudes will get wrapped up into it. But I don't know. It's
True.
weird.
Shut up, porn, dude.
Yeah. What's your favorite category? What's your favorite part? Say it, bro. Drop it.
Damn, dude. I don't know. I'm into like I don't know. Probably like some sort of casting. You know, like it's nice to have the idea that this person on camera isn't a pro. Like they're like a normal person, just like me.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that. I feel that. That's just like me
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's just like me in every life, you know, like me trying to get something and just doing whatever it takes. I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get the
Yeah.
job, bro. Whatever it takes to get that whatever that shirt, that
That
sale.
$1,000 to $5,000 a day, dude.
Yeah, dude, man, just whatever it takes, dude. Whatever it takes. That's fucking
Hell
hilarious,
yeah.
though. Well, on bikes and stuff, like so, on the classic bikes, do you like rebuild bikes, or do you just like find cool bikes that you like, or like tune up moderately?
Yeah, I'm like in the process of
Hmm.
rebuilding a 71 Honda CB350 that I kind of got like passed to me from some guys at Q, and everything's good to go. It's just a strip frame now. It needs to be all put together, motors rebuilt and everything. But it's just a cool little project. But I'm like pretty heavy into the older Harleys.
Hmm.
That said, I don't have an older Harley.
Yeah.
There's a 92 Fat Boy that my dad gave me, or it's in my name, whatever, you know, like
Yeah, yeah, I got
that's, but like, I'm super into the older motors, the panheads, the knuckles, that kind of thing. So I enjoy seeing them, tinkering around on them, but I currently only have the stripped frame and the
you.
Fat Boy.
Yeah, that's kind of like
And dirt bikes are cool too.
yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out now is like getting into something like that. 'Cause I've always really wanted one. I've always ridden them or like ridden other people's. Like so like
Yeah.
it's just like one of those things like, you know, I don't know, my parents would, you know, I just couldn't afford it, you know, just to be quite honest.
Right.
And I was in other
Yeah,
hobbies or
yeah.
whatever things. I didn't have like a lot of people to ride them with, but I always wanted one. And so then
Right.
like I just like everything else, I like become an adult and like have that money to do. And I'm like, why don't I just go buy one? I'm a fucking adult. Like what's really
Yeah, yeah.
stopping me from like, if I really want to do it or really want to test it, then why the fuck not? I'll just stick around. And then of course other people have inspired me because I'm like, oh, that sounds fucking cool. Like, but I know
Right.
what's going to happen. Like I'll get on it and I'm just going to just fucking eat shit. Like I just know for a fact
Yeah.
something's going to
Did
happen.
you see Corey?
Yeah.
Corey worked himself.
Yeah. Does he? I haven't seen him post any more dirt bike stuff. So did he quit? Is that
No,
it?
I think he supermoted his bike. He's got street tires on it now. Like,
Oh shit.
I've talked to him a little bit about it, but yeah, all the other dudes still ride, like
Yeah.
John and
Yeah.
and those dudes still, and Drake, all them.
I was mostly
But,
digging
yeah.
around too, but I figured like that was like there's like this one you know Cat Williams, the comedian.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever hear that one skit that he did about motorcycles when he got into motorcycles in general?
I don't think so. No, I
Dude.
don't think so.
Like that has like resonated with me forever. And pretty much he was like, yeah, I remember leaving one of the stand-up shows and like my bodyguards were all heavy into bikes and all that stuff. And so I'm like, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna be a badass. I'm gonna haul ass off and stuff like that. And like all my entourage and stuff like that were behind me. And like, so I'm leaving this club and blah, blah, blah. Go down and I fucking hit a rock. I can't remember what he like hit a pothole or something like that. And he busted his ass. And so
No.
yeah. And so he's like sitting there and he's like, yeah, but the fucking bike was stuck on the accelerator. So I was just fucking going around in circles.
Holy
On the
shit.
fucking on the ground, and then like all my bodyguard, everyone caught up with me, and they just find my ass going around in fucking circles in the middle of the goddamn road, and like I just remember
Yeah.
that, and it was the way he told the story was actually super funny, but I just remember telling
Of
myself
course.
it was like, yeah, at some point that's going to be me, like that is going to happen, like as soon as I get comfortable. I'm gonna fucking eat shit, and then something stupid like that is gonna happen. I'm just gonna be going around in fucking circles, like just dragging my fucking ass in circles, and just like just wallowing in pain, but not making a single
That's how it
sound.
goes.
Yeah, that's just
We were
life.
just in Arizona. on a Q trip, and like I've ridden dirt bikes since I was a little kid. So like I've been on bikes basically my entire life,
Mhm.
and I understand how to ride a motorcycle. But we rented some dirt bikes for some content and all this stuff. And everything was going great. And I just was like messing around while the dudes were shooting something else. And we're in some like soft stuff, and I just like popped a little wheelie, everything was fine, and hit this like little divot, but like a patch of soft stuff, and it just kicked the rear wheel out to the side and just slammed me down on the left side while I was like in a wheelie or whatever. And I like wasn't hurt, but my first thing was like, I need to stand up and get the bike up before anyone sees that it's down.
Yeah.
And I like stand up and lift the bike up and look, and everybody is staring at me. And they're like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I'm good." Like, not a big deal. But everyone saw the entire thing.
Yeah. That's pretty much like life in general, I guess. Though that's the best part
Yeah.
about it. That's fucking
Yeah.
hilarious. Very cool, dude. So we'll go ahead and wrap it up, man. For at least this one.
Yeah,
And next time we'll fucking do this bitch live, bro.
yeah, dude, we'll do it in person.
Yeah, fucking, playing, who knows what we'll be doing. Maybe we watch a little bit of porn together, bro. We're looking, going
Dude,
down
yeah,
going
or
down
Top
to-
Gun, dude.
yeah, Top Gun, yeah. Yeah, fucking for
Yeah.
real. I'll tell you a funny story, real quick before we do wrap up. So I have a good friend, and we always will send each other stuff. And I remember one time he sent me, he asked me, he's like, have you ever been on, porn comments? And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he sent me some, and some of it is like the funniest shit you'll ever read, ever.
Damn, like on the video.
Yeah, you go to the bottom, you look, like it's kind of like a sociopath, like psychopath move. Go look at the
for
comments
sure.
one day. Go look at the comments, and there was one time I would wake up before I would go to work or do whatever, and I would just go just to view the comments and to send the funniest comment that I could find to somebody. And it was just like, I don't know, one time it was like, hey, just want to check in, let everyone know that I died on my Minecraft server this morning and I lost all the diamonds. Like all the diamonds are
Damn,
gone.
dude.
And that was just a fucking comment. And it had nothing else.
On this gnarly video.
Yeah.
That's so good. That's it.
And
Maybe
you-
I'll start doing that.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll just
some,
like
yeah.
offer up my services,
Yeah.
my professional. I'm like, hey, do you guys need help marketing?
Yeah. Do you need any patches made, by the way? Do you
Yeah.
need any stickers
Yeah.
made? Here, I'll help you with that real quick. Do you need anything vectored for you, by the way?
Damn, dude, that's kind of tight. I'm gonna start perusing the comments.
You should make it like maybe we should do that. Maybe we should make it like a weekly, like
That's a segment.
Thursday thing. Like, okay, the funniest one that I found today was
Yeah.
fucking weird ass dudes. But I kind of
I'm
but
in.
it's not just a single dude. It's like people do that. Like, I don't
community
know.
of
It's wild, bro.
commenters.
Yeah. Like that's their hobby. That's their life. There's got to be
Hell
something, so. But anyway, at one point I was like, I'm about to create a subreddit just for that. And I was like, this is
Damn.
genius. And maybe I should even be saying that right now. So that someone's going to beat me to it. But so fucking
Yeah.
funny, dude. So fucking funny.
Hell yeah.
All right, dude. But hey, before we do wrap it up and completely close this motherfucker down, one, fuck Sony. You're being closed.
Hell yeah. Dude.
Get all your money
Sony.
together.
We're shutting it down.
Figure out your fiscal stuff, whatever money, blah, 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 business stuff. Go and figure it out because quarterly, end of Q4, 2022, it's over. It's done. You heard it here first.
Yeah, sorry, Sony. You're
Yeah.
getting shut down.
It's done. It's done. So go ahead and get all your whatever you want. So, but anyways, though. But what is your Instagram handles, dude? What is your business? Everything. Just do it one more time so everyone can find it and it'll be tagged and stuff like that in the description as well. But boy, tell them.
Yeah, so my Instagram is at datboyjp, which is DATBOIJAYP. I was Dat Boy before that fucking frog on the bicycle came out, but whatever. And then the website that I just kind of started to sell some prints is thepineovercoat.com.
Sweet. And it'll be all tags. You guys can check it out and go in there and go buy a fucking print. Don't be a lame
Oh, yeah.
ass. So
Yeah,
But
and
dude-
that's the other thing. Like right now, I have certain shit that's available to purchase, but if there's anything on there that people are like, hey, can I get this?
mhm.
Just like hit the contact. There's a contact page and send an email. And yeah, for sure, you can have it.
Absolutely. And then obviously if you're interested in the things we were discussing earlier in regards to intro to marketing and kind of helping get your stuff shit and sorted away, because I know I will be. But give
Oh,
me a
yeah.
shout out, dude. Awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Happy to help anybody and figure it all out. So
Absolutely. Well, dude, man, hey, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for spending the Lord's Day on the podcast and jumping on. And
yeah, dude.
It's pretty
Sabbath with you, dude. I'm stoked.
hell yeah, dude. Again, appreciate it so much. And
No,
That's
thank
it.
you.